Greetings, traveler. I am Akira, a representative of the Twilight Society and the curator of these tales. Today, we will embark on a journey which didn't ask for this part 1. As always, if you want to support the creator of these works, their Patreon and story link will be in the description. Now, without further ado, buckle up and enjoy the story. Chapter 1, I Hate This Already. A young man who looked like in his early 20s was lying on his back with his arm missing with a large hole in his stomach. There were many corpses of human-looking creatures with horns and sharp ears. Even though the young man was dying, he didn't look affected by it. He was just lying on his back without moving and looking at the sky full of stars. "You are going to die at this rate, you know?" A feminine voice rang out near the young man. This caused the man to look over and see the one who spoke to him. A woman with waist-length blonde hair and piercing red eyes, with a figure that every man would drool over, with devil-like horns coming out from the side of her head. But she was currently sitting down with a hole where her heart is supposed to be. "You aren't in a better situation yourself," the young man said in a flat voice with no emotions on his face. "You are right. I am not going to live for long. You have defeated me and saved humanity," the woman said with a weak smile. The man nodded and looked at the sky again with no emotions on his face and empty eyes. "Aren't you proud that you saved the humans from extinction? You are surely going to be remembered for generations to come as a hero and be admired by everyone," the woman asked because she was confused by his reaction. "I don't care about these things, or have I ever sought after them," the man said in a flat tone. "But you are the strongest among the humans, right? Humans become strong for recognition, right? Why are you being like this? Didn't you save a lot of people?" The woman was even more confused. "What is the use of saving them? I wasn't able to save those who were important to me. I am a man of no worth who failed to protect everything that mattered to him," the man said with sadness in his voice. This was the first time in years that he had felt something, and it was sadness, the same feeling that made him emotionless before. The woman wasn't able to say anything to her former opponent, as this was the first time she had heard any hint of emotion in his voice. They had been enemies for years, but he always had a monotone voice with a blank face with no emotions no matter what happened. At one point she thought if he was a puppet. But that wasn't true because she couldn't see any signs of control magic on his body. "Did your loved ones die because of me?" the woman asked the man with a curious tone. "No," the man said with his voice back to his usual monotone voice as his eyes started to get blurry. "Looks like you are going to die first," the woman said as she looked at him and then at herself. She didn't have much time left, so she wanted to spend her time with her only enemy and maybe her only friend. "Yes, it is near," the man said as his arm moved towards the spear that was on his side. He used all his remaining strength to pick it up and placed it on his chest as he closed his eyes. The spear was red. It looked so ominous that one might think they will be cursed if they so much as touch it. "I guess I will be with you both soon enough," the man thought as he was ready to embrace his death and reunite with his loved ones. "That is if he isn't sent to hell." The man took in his last breath as he passed away, leaving the woman behind alone. Sigh *, he went ahead, the woman said with a heavy sigh as she looked at the dead body of her only friend and enemy. She moved closer to him and hugged the now lifeless body as she gave a weak smile. "I hope you can live your next life peacefully and with the ones you care about. And I can meet you again, but not as enemies but rather as..." The woman's words trailed off as all strength left her body. "Why am I still conscious? Didn't I die? What is this, the afterlife? I thought as I couldn't move because my body felt heavy. Do I even have a body? I thought as I lifted my body. I opened my eyes and my eyes were overwhelmed with the light as my head was ringing like crazy. Didn't I die? Was it just a dream? Was I saved after I passed out or lost consciousness?" I looked around to find myself in a Japanese-looking room. I don't remember there being a hospital that looked like this. Am I perhaps hallucinating? I tilted my voice as I spoke and stopped. why does my voice sound different? I said to confirm my voice, and my voice was different. It was more boyish rather than my deep voice. But the flat tone remained the same. Argh, I grunted as I held my head that was throbbing with pain as memories began to flood my mind. After 20 minutes the headache stopped. Tenja Yuya? I said the name of the boy whose body I took over as I stood up and walked towards the bathroom with heavy steps because this guy was too overweight. I reached the bathroom and looked at myself. Yeah, I look ugly. I looked at myself, or rather the body I took over, and looked in the mirror. But it is still extreme for his parents to kick him out of the house because of this, I said in a monotone voice as lifted my shirt to see the potbelly. I then moved closer to the mirror to take a better look at my face, but I slipped on the water that was near the sink. I wanted to stabilize myself, but this body is just too slow to keep up my mind, and I went head straight into the wall. At least I was able to avoid the mirror. Push asterisk. Click asterisk. Slide asterisk. I heard weird sounds, but I was too preoccupied with rubbing my head, which was throbbing again courtesy of me face diving straight into the wall. After going to the kitchen and rubbing my head with some ice, my head started to cool down both literally and figuratively. I wasn't a person who would lose control over his thoughts. But this body is influencing my mind too much that it is becoming a mess. I calmed down after 10 minutes and sat down on the chair at the dinner table, which creaked under my weight. I need to slim down, and quickly at that, I muttered and gathered my thoughts. The boy Tenja Yuya was born in a normal family with two siblings that are twins, a boy and a girl. Both of his siblings had super good looks. Because he was ugly, he was neglected at home, where he had to go hungry or live off leftover food in his house. He was treated badly by his parents and his younger siblings, with his grandfather being the only family member he could rely upon. His grandfather was a caring person who cared about him dearly till he passed away. He would constantly tell Yuya's parents off for treating him like this. But it didn't change anything. Yuya's parents had their eyes on the old man's property. But his grandfather gave it to Yuya in his final will, and Yuya's parents kicked Yuya out of the house after he finished middle school, saying he should take care of himself and become independent. And let's not talk about his school life, which was full of constant bullying and getting beaten up almost daily, with the teachers not even supporting him but rather turning a blind eye to it, which caused it to intensify. And there were his young siblings as well, who would instigate the school's gang to get him beaten up. Under all this constant pressure and his only emotional pillar, his grandfather passed away. The boy caved in and committed suicide. Sigh asterisk, I sighed heavily as I sorted out my memories. Yuya poisoned himself last night and died while sleeping. I went back to the room I came out of before and saw 5 bottles of rat poison. All of them were empty. It looked like he didn't want to leave a chance. Really, suicide. People lived worse lives than you and still lived rather than choosing to end their life, I said as I clenched my hands so hard that my nails dug into my palms as blood came out of them. It is not like I never thought of suicide. It is not like I never thought about ending my life. But, my mind is getting unstable again. I hate this body already. I calmed myself as I cleaned the bottles and folded the futon that was on the floor. After 5 minutes I moved towards the bathroom to check what happened there before. I walked inside and saw a passage that has opened near the mirror.
Chapter 2, Door? I reached the bathroom slowly and went inside the secret passage-like doorway. This house is really big for one person to live in, and I didn't find any memories of this secret room in my mind. So he didn't know about this place. I ran my hand on the wall towards my left wall at the end of the passage. I felt a switch and flipped it. The room brightened. It was a fairly big room, double the size of the room I was sleeping in. I walked in and saw many things placed all over the place. This must be a room where Yuya's grandpa put many of the things he collected when he flew around the world. His grandpa was always traveling around and coming back with souvenirs, but Yuya didn't know where he put them all. So this is the place where the old man kept all this. I thought as I walked inside while looking at the bizarre stuff that was kept all over the place. There were statues, paintings, some weird armor, and can that be called a weapon? I thought as I looked at the stick that had a ring at the end with more rings in it. It looks like something that monks will use. I thought as I walked inside and saw a doll. It had like the Kijin mask and a mannequin that was bigger than me. There were also some basketball-sized red cubes, and although I didn't know the principle behind it, there were also some strange stones floating around an equally strange pedestal. Is there magic in this world? I thought as I didn't get any information about magic in Yia's memory, maybe they are like a hidden society. Well, it doesn't concern me even if there is magic, I thought. Apart from that, there was even a coffin that looked like an Egyptian sarcophagus, the kind that usually contained a mummified pharaoh. As I walked around, looking at the various objects and artifacts around me, I walked deeper inside the room. My eyes were drawn to one particular item placed at the very back of the room. It was a door that existed as if it had been pulled out of the wall. There was a large owl carved on the middle of the wooden door, and trees carved on the edge of it. Why does it feel like it is calling me? No, it is calling the body, I thought as I moved towards the gate and reached in front of it. Is it something that is connected to Yia's body? I muttered as I can still feel my attention drawing onto the door in front of me. With that in mind, I reached for the doorknob and opened it. It was an unfamiliar room. It's decorated similar to a log house, with a large wooden table and chairs, and a wooden closet. Weapons such as swords and axes were piled up like mountains. Then, something like a status board suddenly appeared in front of me. I looked at it with interest as it wasn't here before. Why did it pop out after I touched the door? I then looked at the door again. Just where did that old man get this door? I focused on the status board, and saw the text written on it. Skill, appraisal, has been acquired. Skill, endurance, has been acquired. Title, master of the door, has been acquired. Title, master of the house, has been acquired. Title, otherworlder, has been acquired. Title, person who visited a different world for the first time, has been acquired. Extra skills detected. The skills have been added. Something like a message from games was displayed. A different world? Aren't I already in another world? So technically it's the second time. Well, I won't argue about this. I talked to myself as I looked around the door. The only thing behind the door was just the wall of the house. Yet through the door was an unfamiliar room like in a log house, extending beyond the other side. Seriously, what a day. I have an appraisal, so how do I use it? I looked at the door as I thought about reading its information. The moment I thought that the status board that had disappeared suddenly appeared again. Door to another world, a door which suddenly appeared on Earth and leads to some other world. Even the gods do not know why these doors appear, or how. The destination is unknown, and once you cross to a different world, the location can be changed later. Those who become the door's master can manipulate various functions. The door is indestructible. I was able to understand the information in front of me. So this is the effect of this appraisal skill? Is there any way I can check the effect of the skills? The board appeared again when I muttered that and displayed the following. Appraisal, skills to appraise various things. Endurance, you have acquired great resistance to abnormal states, mental interference, or physical stress. How convenient! I thought as the skills were displayed as I thought about it. So I can control it with my thoughts. Let's examine the titles. I muttered and the message appeared as expected. Master of the door, the master of the door leading to another world. You can use the menu function. Master of the house, the new master of the house where the wise man is said to have once lived. You have obtained ownership of this house. Otherworlder, a person from another world. You will be given a special growth boost, allowing you to obtain more experience than normal. It will also be easier for you to learn skills. The level cap has been removed. Person who visited a different world for the first time, the person who visited another world for the first time. A distinct title that makes it easier for you to invent skills and magic compared to the effect of similar titles such as Pioneer. The process of your growth will proceed in an ideal direction. In addition, you will be able to use item box. I see. But what if someone else finds it? If someone tries to steal it, what can I do with this damn body of mine? For some reason, despite how amazing it all sounded, it didn't affect me that much. It can cause more trouble to me than good. If this world has magic, then those people will chase me to the end of the earth to get their hands on this thing. Well, I may be overthinking, but still, it is better to make some plans. I looked at the description again. person who visited a different world for the first time seems to be a superior title compared to pioneer, and it also apparently makes me able to use item box. Then I noticed the part of the description of master of the door that mentioned a menu function. Menu function? What is this? Another message was displayed in front of me. This is door to another world. Owner Tenji Yuya. Functions: money conversion, transfer, entry restriction. That was displayed. Money conversion? Transfer and entry restriction? It is pretty self-explanatory, I thought as I looked at the log house through the door. The message changed to show detailed descriptions. Money conversion, everything can be converted into money. Transfer, the door can be summoned to the owner's current location at any time. Entry restriction, only those specified by the owner can pass through the door. It's more sophisticated than I expected. This lessens my worry a bit. In other words, even if someone finds this place, they can't go any further. In addition, if someone were to try to steal this door, it would return to me. I honestly don't know why all of this is happening. I neither asked nor wanted any of it. So why did this happen? I'll leave this for the future me to worry about. I muttered in a tired voice, and another message appeared. Tenji Yuya. Occupation none. Level 1. Magic 1. Attack 1. Defense 1. Agility 1. Intelligence 1. Luck 1. BP 0. Skills: Appraisal, Endurance, Item Box, Spearmanship, Max, Primordial Rune, Max, Magic Resistance, Max, Cooking, Max, Household Chores, Max, Sewing, Max, Drawing, Max. Titles: God's Slayer, Spearman of the Abyss, Master of the Door, Master of the House, Otherworlder, Person who visited a different world for the first time. These skills shouldn't be here, I thought as I looked at the skills section. Spearmanship? Primordial Rune? I doubt Yuya has learned any of this. These skills hold special meaning to me. She taught me these. I muttered as I remembered her again as I closed my eyes, seeing her fluttering black hair and red eyes. I am thinking about her again. Am I crying? I said as felt something slide down my cheek and fall on the floor. Drip asterisk. I seriously hate this body so much, I said as I sat down, drowning in the emotions that have at some point become foreign to me. Chapter 3, Level Up. I calmed down after 5 minutes and stood up while wiping the tears on my face. Why did this happen? I can't even control the emotions of this body, I said to myself while shaking my head. I looked at the wooden cabin on the other side of the door. That cabin is in another world from what I have understood till now, and it can be accessed only through this door. There might be someone living in the house. What if that person attacks me? I thought as I looked around and picked up a stick, then walked through the door. When I entered the room, I saw a wooden closet next to the desk and chair, and inside that closet were pairs of slim shirts, trousers, and underwear that obviously weren't my size. There's a window in this cabin as well. I approached the window and looked outside. And then, the area beyond the window was dense with trees. This cabin was completely surrounded by forest. As I thought, it's a different world. Well, the only other possibility is that it's connected to another place on Earth. Pure air flowed into my lungs, which I couldn't imagine breathing from a city. I couldn't hear the sound of any cars, nor were there any construction noises, just a tranquil silence. I like silent places, it gives me comfort. It might not be a bad idea to live here alone, away from all the noise, I said as I looked at the dense forest as I took a deep breath of the fresh air. I closed the window and looked around the room again, and noticed a paper on the desk. What's this? I picked up the paper and tried to read it, but it had strange characters that I didn't recognize. I can't read this. Is it a language from this other world? Despite my lack of understanding, a message appeared when I stared at the letter for a few moments longer. You have acquired the skill, Language Comprehension. I appraised it to confirm if it is what I think it is. Language Comprehension, a skill that grants you the understanding to read and write in any language. Geez, talk about convenience. Well, I ain't complaining, I am too lazy to learn a new language at this point. Anyway, since I'd gotten such a useful skill, I turned my eyes back to the letter and was able to comprehend the mysterious script that I couldn't read before. To summarize, the previous owner of this house had decided to part with this cabin, because his life was soon to come to an end. Because he had no family, if anyone found this house, he would give that person ownership, along with everything inside the house. The registration of ownership was also updated, with the power of magic, such that it wouldn't be possible for anyone other than the owner to enter the house. So this new world has magic. And from the way, this guy has set up things, it should be quite advanced. I nodded as I looked at the paper. Well, I'll take good care of your house, thank you, I said. How can I put this? I think I was incredibly lucky that the door connected to this place. It could have been some unknown lair for all I knew. I guess I was too impulsive. I need to get used to this body, or it will be the end of me. I sighed for the umpteenth time. As I don't have full control of the body, it will take some time for me to get it under control. This is also the reason I can't control my emotions, as they leak out like an open faucet. I looked around and saw all types of weapons placed on the wall. I looked at the spear that was on the wall, and went near it. I picked it up. Ugh, heavy. I grunted as I could barely hold it up. I have been a spearman all my life, so I know a good spear when I see one. And this one is a great one, second only to the one I had. That spear is really precious to me. It is connected to my soul, so maybe I can call it out, but that will have to wait until I get this body back into shape. I nodded and looked at them and used appraisal. And it showed the information regarding the spear. Absolute spear, the only spear that exceeds the divine spear. It said that this spear can pierce anything, depending on the contractor. This spear can't be broken. If you throw it, it will always hit the target and will return to your hand. Not for sale. Contractor, Tenji Yiya. Isn't it kind of like my spear but weaker? I thought as I nodded and then placed the spear in my item box that appeared in front of me. It looked like a black hole. Then checked the other weapons that were, and they were all very powerful weapons. Omnisword, the pinnacle of all swords. The blade remains shiny without tarnishing, and the edge is always perfectly sharp. It's said to be capable of cutting anything, but that depends on the contractor. Not for sale. Contractor, Tenji Yiya. Death Scythe, a scythe that could even kill the god of death. It is said to be capable of cutting anything the contractor wants. Any existence cut by this scythe, no matter how small is it, will give a fatal wound. Not for sale. Contractor, Tenji Yiya. Infinity Gauntlet, not only does this increase striking power, but this gauntlet can also be used for protection. One blow is equal to infinite attacks. Not for sale. Contractor, Tenji Yiya. Formless bow, the ultimate bow without physical form. Depending on the contractor's will, it can produce an infinite number of arrows. The arrows are said to be capable of shooting through the world. It will absolutely hit whatever target the contractor desires. Not for sale. Contractor, Tenji Yiya. And so on. I placed all these into my item box. These weapons can even make humans in my former world fight for them. I need to reassess this guy who used to live here before. He definitely wasn't someone normal. He is surely a big character in this world, and there might be people after his treasures, so I have to be careful. As this is that guy's final resting place. But I doubt anyone knows this is where he lives, so I am safe and have enough time to get back my powers. I made some plans in my mind as walked outside of the cabin and came into the courtyard. Apparently, the land this house was built on was pretty spacious, and the front area was like a garden. There were also fields to cultivate fruits or vegetables. Is this all included as part of the house? If it wasn't, I couldn't go out carelessly. I am too weak to run around in a world with magic. A message appeared. The inside of the fence surrounding this house is the owner's land. Oh, so in other words, no one can even enter this garden. This guy was good at magic, I guess. Should I take him as an example for the mages in this world? I looked around and suddenly had a terrible chill. My body froze up instantly. With a suffocating feeling, my breathing came in stops and starts. Sweat beaded up all over my body, and I was confused for a moment as to why this suddenly happened before frantically looking around. Fuck this damn body? I thought as I moved my body with difficulty and looked at the source. At the entrance, which was the boundary between the outside of the fence and the garden, I saw the culprit of the chill assaulting me. A creature with who was releasing his killing intent stood there staring at me. Its body was massive, more than 2 meters in height, and its skin was dark red as if smeared with blood. Its bulging biceps were as thick as my fat torso, and its face resembled an oni, with the 2 splendid and sharp fangs growing from its lower jaw. This guy isn't a big of a deal. If I had my power from before, I could have killed him with a blink of my eye. But I don't have my power and my current body is too weak. I somehow took out the absolute spear from the item box, and looked at the Oni who was standing outside the fence. In the face of that beast's imposing glare, I activated Appraisal. Bloody Ogre. Level 300. Magic 100. Attack 5000. Defense 5000. Agility 1000. Intelligence 500. Luck 100. Damn, my luck is really bad to come face to face with a monster of that level. I am still level 1, you know. Can I run away? I doubt that. Wait a minute, the house had a barrier, right? The one that restricted entry of anyone other than the owner to enter, so by that. The bloody ogre rushed toward me. However, the ogre grunted as it stopped short, as if blocked by an invisible wall. It couldn't enter the yard. As I thought, he won't be able to enter in here. Now the question is, will my attack reach him? I said in a flat tone as I saw the ogre punching the barrier. I lifted the spear with one arm and threw it towards the ogre with all my pitiful strength. The bloody ogre seemed to be on alert, possibly due to sensing the intimidating air released from Absolute's spear. Even though I threw it with all my might, it was too heavy to go more than a few centimeters, a lousy throw. The monster understood what was happening instantly and put up its guard. However, as if to say that my power wasn't needed at all, the spear still reached the bloody ogre in another instant, and pierced through its entire body without slowing down. Groaning its last breath, the bloody ogre fell with a big hole in its chest, eyes still wide open, as if unable to comprehend what just happened. I did it, I said while panting a bit. This body seriously lacks exercise. The bloody ogre's body dissolved into particles of light, and disappeared on the spot. Level up. Chapter 4. Why? I leveled up. Let me see how many levels I got. I displayed the status and checked the changes. Tenji Yuya. Occupation none. Level 100. Magic 1000. Attack 1000. Defense 1000. Agility 1000. Intelligence 1000. Luck 1000. BP 10,000. Skills, Appraisal, Endurance, Item Box, Spearmanship, Max, Primordial Rune, Max, Magic Resistance, Max, Cooking, Max, Household Chores, Max, Sewing, Max, Drawing, Max. Titles, God Slayer, Spearman of the Abyss, Master of the Door, Master of the House, Otherworlder, Person who visited a different world for the first time. I expected a huge level up, but even so, it was clear that my BP was very unusual. I knew that for sure thanks to the description of person who visited a different world for the first time. I can sort out this BP later. I looked at the stuff scattered around where the bloody ogre was. I went to check on that first. What is this stuff? The items I found included some kind of palm-sized jewel that was a mysterious color that looked like a magic stone, and a splendid fawn, similar to that which grew from the bloody ogre's mouth. There was also some dark red, sinister-looking armor. Well, let's just take these. Thanks to it dying near the gate, I was able to collect them quickly. There weren't even that many items. I activated the Appraisal skill. Bloody War Demon's Great Fang, Fangs of the Bloody Ogre. Its fangs are not particularly massive, but when combined with the bloody ogre's bite force, it could easily penetrate the skin of any prey. If processed, it could be made into a sturdy and sharp weapon. Magic Stone, Rank B, a special ore that can be obtained from magical beasts. The ranks are, in ascending order, F, E, D, C, B, A, S. The higher the rank, the more expensive a stone will be. Bloody War Demon's Body Armor, a drop from bloody ogres, made from their strong skin and muscle fibers. This armor can't be scratched by typical attacks. The wearer's attack power is modified. Bloody War Demon's Gauntlet, a drop from bloody ogres, made from their strong skin and muscle fibers. This gauntlet can't be scratched by typical attacks. The wearer's attack power is modified. Bloody War Demon's Waist Armor, a drop from bloody ogres, made from their strong skin and muscle fibers. This gauntlet can't be scratched by typical attacks. The wearer's agility is modified. Bloody War Demon's Leg Armor, a drop from bloody ogres, made from their strong skin and muscle fibers. This leg armor can't be scratched by typical attacks. The wearer's agility is modified. Well, I can't equip it even if I have them. I muttered as I looked at my body again and started making a diet plan in my head. After I put all these things in my item box, I looked at my status again as I thought about how should I allocate my BP. But even luck. Originally, luck, unlike physical strength, wouldn't go up no matter how hard you tried. but actually, it was now increasing by the same amount as everything else when I leveled up. This is strange, but whatever, I am not wasting my energy on this, I said as I assigned my points. And the results. Tenji Yuya. Occupation none. Level 100. Magic 1500. Attack 3000. Defense 3000. Agility 3000. Intelligence 1500. Luck 4000. BP 0. Skills, Appraisal, Endurance, Item Box, Spearmanship, Max, Primordial Rune, Max, Magic Resistance, Max, Cooking, Max, Household Chores, Max, Sewing, Max, Drawing, Max. Titles, God Slayer, Spearman of the Abyss, Master of the Door, Master of the House, Otherworlder, Person who visited a different world for the first time. I nodded. As it was looking good, I was able to pick up the spear more easily than before and swung it around to test my newfound strength. Whoosh asterisk, whoosh asterisk, whoosh asterisk. It is easier to move around now, and all the fatigue from before went away, I said as swung the spear around in my hands and stabbed it in the air a few more times. In my trance of using my spear, I didn't notice that the sun has started setting, and my stomach started grumbling. I need to eat something. I didn't eat anything since morning. Then I placed it back into my item box, then walked back inside the house and went through the door, and then I saw a message. Items can be converted into money. Would you like to cash in? Bloody War Demon's Great Farm, Magic Stone, Rank B, Bloody War Demon's Body Armor, Bloody War Demon's Gauntlet, Bloody War Demon's Waist Armor, Bloody War Demon's Leg Armor? Is this how it works? I muttered as I looked at the message. However, I removed the pieces of armor from the candidates because I might wear them someday, and used money conversion on the rest. Blood War Demon's Great Farm, cashed in for 500,000 yen. Magic Stone, Rank B, cashed in for 1 million yen. Isn't this a lot? No, I guess it isn't if it's considering this world, I guess. I muttered as bundles of cash fell in front of me. Is this even real money? And if it is... I paused. Isn't it going to crash the economy? Well, not my problem. I shrugged my shoulder as I placed the money in my item box as I walked towards the kitchen to make myself some food. I took a couple of eggs and cold rice with some vegetables and meat. Then made some fried rice for myself as I will start the diet from tomorrow. I looked at the clock as well. The time difference between this and that world is 1:1. So I haven't been missing here for like a year or anything. And I seriously doubt anyone will even come and look for me, as I have no friends and family here. Well, I do have a family, but they can't be considered as family anyway. I looked around the area and thought, I need to clean this place. And I also need to find a way to store my money rather than keep it in my item box. I need to buy a smartphone as well. There is so much I have to do, I thought as I ate the food. After I finished eating, I felt sleepy for some reason. So I went back to the bathroom and closed the secret door. Then took a bath. I walked out of the bath and moved towards the room where I woke up this morning, laid down on my futon after I changed into my pajamas. I turned off the lights and started thinking about some ways to make my life easier. Yuya hasn't stepped outside for more than 1 month after he was fired from his part-time job and beaten up by the gang in his school after the final exam. The school is going to open in a month, and I have to study as well, and as a high school student at that. I was talking to myself as I looked at the ceiling. I am a young boy with money, and I will have more in the future. I have no guarantors or guardians that can help me. How am I going to keep this money in the bank? Maybe I should write a novel or something, that way I can live at home and I remember many famous works from my past life. Let me check if they are in this world. I used my old phone that my grandpa bought me to surf the internet to look if those famous works exist here. Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, SAO, Log Horizon, Overlord, Re:Zero, No Game No Life, etc. None of these works exist here. It is a pity that they don't know these works. I may not look like it, but I read manga and light novels to pass time when I was bored. I am technically more than 250 years old. So I read whatever I could get my hands on. Yawn asterisk. I will think about it later. And I fell asleep. I was sleeping soundly, but suddenly I felt like every bone in my body is being grounded to dust as my muscles and nerves felt they were ripped apart slowly in the most agonizing way possible. It hurts, I said with my monotone voice as I opened my eyes, but despite the pain, I didn't move a bit and kept staring at the ceiling. The pain stopped after an hour. I felt my body has changed a lot, but I couldn't care less and closed my eyes again and went to sleep. I'll leave it to me who wakes up in the morning. I muttered as I drifted into a deep sleep. I woke in the morning and yawned as I stretched my now different body. I stood up and my bottoms and underwear fell off. I have slimmed down, yay, I said in a monotone voice with a blank face. Then shook off my shirt that was barely hanging on to my body and went towards the door to another world. There were some clothes there, right? I said as I walked but naked and entered the door. Chapter 5. I Feel Tired. I immediately went through the otherworld door and entered the cabin and opened the closet. Some clothes and underwear were still inside, including a white shirt and black pants. They were simple clothes, but somewhat modern looking. I remembered correctly. I am glad I didn't have to go out steal someone else's clothes. It doesn't mean anything, but for some reason, I thought to appraise them. Royal silk shirt, a very soft shirt made of the highest quality royal silk. Automatically adjusts size according to the body shape of the wearer. Maintains a comfortable temperature for the wearer. Immune to dirt. Contains an auto repair function. Contractor, Tenji Yuya. Royal silk pants, very soft pants made of the highest quality royal silk. Automatically adjusts size according to the body shape of the wearer. Maintains a comfortable temperature for the wearer. Immune to dirt. Contains an auto repair function. Contractor, Tenji Yuya. Convenient, right? Does it say it won't even get dirty? That would bring a huge amount of joy it brings me. I am not changing my clothes ever. I am getting lazier by the minute, a step closer to my shut-in life. Now, what about even the clothes treating me as their contractors? Is this normal in this world? If the clothes have this ability, how about the underwear? I thought about it and used appraisal on the underwear, but it was just an ordinary pair of comfortable underwear, with no special effects on it. However, as usual, I had become its contractor as well. By the way, the underwear consisted of black boxers and other black underclothes. It is comfortable. When I looked in the closet again, there were even shoes and socks. The socks were comfortable, and its effect was that they wouldn't get stuffy. There was a golden spot on the back of it. Again, I became its contractor. The shoes are good as well. Dragon God's leather shoes, shoes made from the skin of a dragon god, the pinnacle of the dragon species. It ignores environmental effects or features. No matter how much the wearer walks or runs, they won't get tired, and the shoes won't be damaged. The size changes to fit the wearer. Immune to dirt. Contractor, Tenji Yuya. Meh, kinda good, I guess. I shook my head as I have worn better shoes. But I am not complaining about free stuff, that is just how I am. I walked back to my house in the real world and looked at myself in the mirror. A 6 feet 2 inches handsome boy with messy black hair comes to my ear and covers my forehead with 2 bangs framing the sides of my face. With long eyelashes and soft blue eyes that would look good if it weren't for the lifeless look in them. I lifted my shirt to see compact and lean muscles on my abdomen. It is good that I am not bulky. I hate bulky muscles, but I look like who I looked before, just younger, I said as I examined my face. I gave up and walked towards my kitchen, then had salad for breakfast. Yosh, it's time to think about the problems. I need to buy a laptop, a smartphone, need to get an internet connection and AT.V as well. Open a bank account and, man, I give up. I going to take a nap. I gave up halfway as I went and took a nap as listing everything tired me out. I woke up in the afternoon as I rubbed my eyes and sat up. Fuck my life, I said as I took a bundle of money out of my item box. 1.5 million yen, obtained by cashing in items from another world. Genuine 10,000 yen bills are created by manipulating information on Earth, such as serial numbers, so as not to disrupt the global economy. Even if it does, it has nothing to do with me. It is the door's fault, so catch him. YWN*. I stood up as I slept with my shoes on. I think this amount of money should be enough, right? It is almost $13,000 US. I think it should be enough. I walked out of my house and walked down the road towards Akihabara. I can also check for what kind of novels are popular these days. The list just keeps on growing, I said as I walked the empty road. The only time you will see people near my house is during the morning when many joggers pass by. It didn't take long before the silence was lost in the bustle of the busy streets, where loud noise of people chatting with sounds of cars and construction in the air. I am walking on the sidewalk while being the center of attraction. Why? Is there even a need to say? It is because of my looks. I am being stared at like a monkey in a zoo. The girls and women are looking at me with hot gazes while blushing, and the guys are cursing me. "Excuse me, would you like to work as a model for our agency?" I heard a voice in front of me and looked at the middle-aged man who was trying to recruit me. "No, I don't have any interest in becoming a model and ruining my life. So excuse me," I said with an emotionless face as I walked past the dumbfounded man who was just standing in the middle of the sidewalk. I reached Akihabara after I was stopped by 10 more recruiters. My answer was the same as I walked past them. I looked at the lively scene in front of me that made me want to go back home and sleep. I seriously don't like crowded places, but I have walked all this way here, so I will do what came here to do, or it will be a waste of precious energy. I had placed my money in my wallet. To avoid suspicion, I'll buy stuff from different stores. I mean, a wallet has limited space, you know. I looked at Akihabara, which was filled with signs and flashing lights with posters of anime characters everywhere. It is really something how this place that started as a black market for foreign electronic devices has turned into this. I looked around one more time before I walked into a big electronics store named Yodobashi Multimedia. "How can I help Yodash?" A male employee was about to greet me, but, "How can I help, sir?" A female employee pushed him away and asked me, "I want to buy a laptop and a smartphone," I said in a flat tone, not bothered by what she just did. "Then please follow me this way, please," the female said as she walked towards the stairs. "I just want to buy my stuff, I don't care who helps me," I thought as I followed her, leaving the male employee who was pushed behind on the ground. We reached the upper floor and the female employee led me towards the smartphone display and showed me the average priced phones first. "What do you think, sir?" she asked me with a smile. "Get me the best one the shop has," I said with a straight face, as I don't want to waste time here comparing their specs. I'll just buy the best one and leave. "Okay." The employee went and brought the best smartphone the shop had. It was $1,400, around 160,000 yen. Well, whatever, I looked at the features and it was a good phone. It is from a famous brand in the world, 1-. "I'll take this one. Can you take me to see the laptops now?" I asked the female employee, who was wide-eyed. "Yes, certainly, this way please." She was surprised because I bought this phone without batting an eye. It is to be expected, as Japanese men have a herd mentality. They will buy the stuff that most people buy. That is also the reason the smartphones she showed me first were averagely priced. Although it isn't true for all, 7 out of 10 Japanese men are like this. I followed the dumbstruck employee to the laptop display, and before she can say anything, "Get me the best one you have," my tone stayed static and flat as always. She nodded and went to get the best one here. The one she brought back was priced at $2,000, that is 233,000 yen. It was a thin, lightweight laptop with top-of-the-line features. "Okay, I'll take this one. Where do I pay for these?" I asked her. This way please." She took me towards the counter. That W would be 395,000 yen, sir. "Are you going to pay with a card?" she said as she stuttered a bit while getting the machine ready. "No, is cash alright?" I asked her. "Yes, it is," she said, a bit confused. I nodded and took out 400,000 yen from my wallet and gave it to her. "Here," I said as she took the money and counted it, then gave me 5,000 yen back. Thank you for buying from our store, sir. Have a nice day," the employee said as she bowed a little and gave me my smartphone and laptop after placing them in a bag. "You too," I said as I took the bag and walked out of the store. "I feel tired already," I said as I walked towards a store near this one after I placed some more money in my wallet in an alleyway. Chapter 6. A maid? I exited the second store, from which I ordered a T.V, a bigger refrigerator, and many other kitchens and household appliances. I paid for them and gave them the house address so they can deliver it later. "I am tired," I muttered as I walked back under the gazes of women. I looked around and saw a clothes shop that had decent clothes. I walked in and bought some t-shirts and sweatpants with some extra underwear. "I'll buy the rest some other day," I thought as I walked out of the room after I paid for the clothes and looked for a cafe to relax, and I didn't want to enter those that were crowded with people, or I wouldn't be able to relax at all. I walked for some time as I entered some less crowded alleys and walked in them. I found an empty cafe in some alley to relax. It was a maid cafe. From what I read at the entrance, I couldn't care less as I needed a silent place to rest. I opened the door after I checked the sign that read "Open." Ding asterisk. The bell sounded and I looked at the interior of the shop that had a Victorian design with a small number of tables and chairs on the wooden floor. I walked in and sat down on the seat near the window to relax. I placed the bags that I was carrying in my hands on the seat near me. Is there no one on the counter? I said as I looked at the empty place. Oh, a customer came. I heard a female voice and looked at the source, causing my eyes to widen. Hello, what would you like to order? A slim girl with above-average height and dark pink-colored contacts in her eyes with light skin. Her build is on the thinner side with a small waistline. She has silky blonde hair, tipped with pinkish red, reaching down around her pelvic region. Her bangs cover a majority of her forehead and eyebrows, reaching around the start of her eyelashes. 2 locks of hair also flow over her shoulders and end around her chest region. Her hair is done in a single ponytail. In terms of gradient, her hair goes from pure blonde at the top and progressively becomes pinkish red towards the bottom. She does wear ear piercings, which include 1 ring piercing, 3 pearl piercings, an industrial piercing on the left ear and 2 ring piercings, and 1 pearl piercing on the right ear. She is currently wearing a French-made outfit with a knee-length skirt, pure white stockings, and black heels with white straps, and a black headdress with white frills at the edges. She is a beautiful girl that will turn heads wherever she goes. But that isn't the reason I am shocked about. She looks like Ashburn WH-. Hello, did you see enough? What do you think? Her voice brought me back as she maturely asked me, not bothered by me staring at her for all this time. Yes, it really suits you, I told her as I smiled a little. Of course it does, she said with a proud face as she raised her nose high. Seriously, how can she be so similar to her? A small smile formed on my lips as I remembered my enemy and my only friend with whom I spent my last moments. It is good, but it is still quite, how do I say, messy, I said to her back to my emotionless face before she even noticed the small smile on my face. I looked at the dress that wasn't worn properly, with decorations that looked like they will fall off, and her headdress wasn't placed properly as well. What? Is it messy? I tried so hard to make it look perfect, she said as she moved her hands around. I stood up, walked near her, and asked, Can you get me a sewing needle and black thread? Are you sure you know how to use it? She asked me. Yes, I can. I will help you, I said in a monotone voice. You will? She asked with a smile and expectation in her eyes. If you aren't against it, I said in a flat tone. Yes, wait a minute. She nodded her super fast and ran towards the back of the store, and came back running with a box in her hand. Then she tripped on her own leg, and the box flew out from her hands as she was about to crash into me. She was moving her hands around trying to stabilize herself, but it didn't work. I caught the box that flying towards my face, and then I used my right hand to hug her waist and support her so that she doesn't fall down. Are you alright? I asked her. Why, yes I am, thank you, she said, stood up straight, and I removed my hand from her waist. She was a bit flustered but calmed herself in an instant. You should be careful and not run around like that or you'll hurt yourself, I said as I took out black thread and needle from inside the box. You know, that might sound really caring if it wasn't for your flat tone, she said as she pointed at me. I shrugged my shoulders at her as I beckoned her to come closer. She came near me as she pouted and puffed up her cheeks because I ignored her. That is just how my voice is. Now stand still or you will get stabbed by the needle, I said as I started fixing the decorations on her dress. How can you stab a cute girl like me? You are heartless, she said in a cute voice. The needle doesn't have eyes, so stop moving around or... I looked at her and said in a static tone. Humph, you are no fun, she said as she stayed still without moving even a bit. After 15 minutes I fixed the decorations on her dress and fixed how she was wearing the dress. Is it done? She asked me in a cheerful voice. Almost, I said while standing up and looking at her, then moved my hand towards her headdress and fixed it in place. Turn around, I said, and she complied. I fixed her ponytail and the back of her dress, then I moved back and said, Okay, it is done now. She moved around and twirled on the spot, which caused her skirt to fly up a bit. But it didn't show much as she used her hand to adjust it. How is it? She asked me with a bright smile. You look perfect, I said in a monotone voice as I gave her a thumbs up. It sure doesn't sound that way, she said as her eyebrows twitched. But you are really good at this, she said as she regained her cheerfulness again. It is a hobby of sorts, I said. Your hobby is dressing up girls. Are you a fashion designer or a pervert? She asked me with her eyes gleaming a bit, then she narrowed her eyes as she checked her dress in a full-body mirror that was placed near the counter. Seriously, her facial expressions changed so much. I thought as I remembered Ashper, who rarely showed a smile. No, I only have a hobby of sewing, not dressing up girls, I said, and ignored her last comment, which caused her to nod with a smile. I am really bad at handiwork, and it is hard for me to do these things, she said as she sounded a bit down. Then she took the camera that was placed on the counter and gave it to me. Can you take some photos of me, please? I'll pay you back later, she said cutely as she placed the camera in my hands. I guess. I nodded, and she nodded happily with a bright smile and started posing as an elegant maid. I perfected the camera settings and looked at her. When was the last I had used the camera? I shook my head and started taking pictures of her, and after 20 minutes, and her changing her character from elegant to seductive to sadistic, then the photo shoot ended. Let me see how it came out. Whoa, the photos look so good, she said while smiling brightly with gleaming eyes. She is happy, and she is making the same face as her. I shook my head as I sat down. Thank you very much. It was a wonderful session, she said as she sat down on the seat across the table. Can I get a cola? I asked her as I remembered my reason for coming here. I forgot, I'll get it for you, she said as she ran towards the counter. Don't run or you'll trip again, I said as I shook my head. Hey, don't treat me like a child, she said, puffing her cheeks and acting as a child. She placed a glass of cola in front of me and placed one for herself. I drank a bit and felt a bit refreshed. How did you come in the shop? It is supposed to be closed, the girl asked me as she looked at me with narrowed eyes. But the sign says it is open. I pointed at the door, which indeed signaled it was open. Did I forget about flipping the sign? She said as smacked her fist on her palm. Do you work here? I asked her as I ignored her actions. No, it is one of my friend's shop, I am just borrowing it for today, she said as I nodded and drank my cola, not saying anything further. And by the way, what is your name? She asked me after some time. Tenji Yuya, I said in a flat tone. Oh, Yuya-san, nice to meet you. My name is Marin, Kitagawa Marin. The girl smiled brightly as she made a peace sign and winked at me. Chapter 7, Help. Yuya-kun, since you are so good at sewing, can you help me with something? Marin said with expectant eyes. What is that, Kitagawa-san? I asked her while drinking my cola. Wait a minute. She jumped from her seat and ran towards the back again and came back after 5 minutes wearing a black dress, if it can even be called that. What do you think about this? She said proudly as she showed off her dress. What is this? I titled my head as I didn't understand what she wanted me to say. I made this dress in my school's handicraft club after school. I don't know how it turned out, she said with a bit of proudness in her tone. I don't know what to compare it with, I said as I can't make an accurate assessment if I don't know what to compare it with. Oh, I forgot, look at this. She showed me a photo from her phone of what looked like an anime character. I looked at the photo and looked at her. You are trying to copy the dress of this character? I asked as I looked at her. Yes, Shizuka-tan is my favorite. Do you have a problem? Her voice turned salty near the end. No, everyone has what they like. So are serious or joking when you said that dress was made after seeing this? I asked her. Yes, what do you think? I made this. She was smiling brightly as she asked. You can't make something this bad without trying deliberately, I said as I looked at her. Stab asterisk. I swear I saw an arrow go through her chest just now. Was it my imagination? Where is the lining? You didn't even do a backstitch, so it's wrinkled, I said. Stab asterisk, stab asterisk. I saw 2 more arrows hitting. What is lining and backstitch? She asked in a low voice as she lifted her head. You don't even know something that simple? You didn't even set the lower thread? And you even forgot about the margin for the seam? And I said as I looked up and saw her tear up a little, so I stopped. Stab asterisk, stab asterisk. She looked at me with pitiful eyes as if looking at me to say something. I sighed at her behavior, but I still looked at her like. It is true. See, can you help me make it properly? She said as her tears disappeared. Do you have a sewing machine? I asked. And no, I don't. Do you have one? She asked me. I have one at my house, I said as I remembered the old sewing machine my grandma kept. It was in my grandpa's room. Is it true? Then can you help me with this? She jumped and held my hands as her eyes were shining. Okay, I can help you, I said as she jumped up and down, showing her black panties with net patterns. I shook my head and looked at the girl, who is a spitting image of my friend. I'll be back after I change, she said as she ran towards the back and came back after she changed into a loose green and blue checkered shirt and jeans shorts that ripped at the ends. She was also wearing white sneakers. She was wearing a stretchy black choker, 2 bracelets on her left arm, and a ring on both her right pinky and left index finger. Let's go, she said cheerfully. Where are you going? I asked her. To your house, of course. I want to finish that dress quickly, so help me, she said, smiling and pulling my hand. Walk slowly, I am not running away, I said as I picked up my bags and walked with her as she pulled my hand. Yes, yes, she said cheerfully while pulling my arm and walking outside. It is all right to leave the shop open? I asked as she forgot to lock the shop. She stopped and went to lock the shop, then came back and held my hand as she pulled me to walk faster. Her face was reddish as she was a bit embarrassed about forgetting to lock the door. How long are you going to hold my hand? My question caused her to stop and released my hand. Her cheeks were a bit rosy as she said, It is your loss, she said as she walked beside me. I shook my head and we moved towards my house. It was still 4 p.m. I have to stop by a few places on the way, I told her. Okay. She nodded with a smile as we walked under the intense gaze of the crowd who were looking at us. Do you think they're in a relationship? Both of them look so good. TCH, just because he is a little handsome. All types of comments were flying around. Both of us ignored them as we walked. I stopped at the internet connection shop and gave them the address and paid for the best internet speed they had. There isn't internet in your house? Kitagawa asked. I moved into a new house recently. I wasn't lying because Yuya had just moved into the house 1.5 months ago. Oh, so you just moved into Tokyo? She asked me curiously. No, I have always lived here, just moved into a new place, I said as I moved into the convenience store. Welcome. I heard a monotone welcome from the store clerk and picked up a basket. Kitagawa didn't ask me more questions after that as she looked at me buying vegetables and meat. I bought everything that I needed and paid for the stuff. I will shop properly after the new fridge arrives. Thank you, please come again. With the monotone voice of the clerk we walked out of the store, and after walking a bit we heard a voice. Hey, it's okay, isn't it? Come have tea with us, a rough-looking man said to a girl. I already said no. I've refused you so many times already. Please, let me go, a girl said. Don't say that, darling, the other man said. The girl that was about the same age as us was caught up in a group of men that stood out. There are a lot of people walking by. But the people just turned a blind eye to this because that is just people are in Japan. They don't want to get involved in trouble. That is also the reason men like these go around and harass women in public. Those bastards. Kaori, are you alright? Kitagawa was angry and ran towards the men as expected. She is an expressive and blunt person after all, and she seems to know the girl who was being surrounded. Hey, now look, a second beauty came as well. We are in luck today. One of the men turned around and looked at Kitagawa with lustful eyes as he licked his lips. Marin, don't come here, call the police fast, please, the girl named Kaori said as she tried to stop Kitagawa from coming closer but failed as Kitagawa kicked the man who was staring at her with lustful eyes in his balls. The man didn't expect that as he fell holding his crotch. Why you bitch boys get these both, we are going to have a party today, the man shouted as he held his balls while lying on the floor. Oh, the boss said it. Hee. One of the men laughed as he moved towards Kitagawa, who was sweating a bit, but she still stayed strong. But when the man was about to grab her, she closed her eyes because she was scared. Seriously, why can't I catch a break? I said as I held the hand of the man who was about to grab Kitagawa. Hey, what do th-? Before the man could any more, I kicked him on the side of his head, knocking him out, and looked at the 5 men who were looking at me. Be bastard. We'll kill you. They were spouting cliché lines. I need to take a nap, I said as I moved and kicked the shit out of these idiots. In less than 5 seconds, everyone was lying on the floor knocked out. Are you both okay? I asked the girl and Kitagawa, who was staring at me with wide open mouths. Close your mouth or a fly might enter it, I said in a flat tone, and they closed their mouth. Hey, are you okay, Kaori? You aren't hurt, right? Kitagawa asked the girl first. And no, I am fine, don't worry, the girl named Kaori said, but she was shaking a bit as her hands were trembling. Then she looked at me. Tenji Yuya, I said with a blank face. And nice to meet you, my name is Fuju Kaori, thank you for saving me. Marin, I have to go now. The girl introduced herself, then looked at Kitagawa. No, you aren't going anywhere alone, come with us. We are going to Yuya-kun's house, so rest there first and call your family, Kitagawa said as she pulled the girl by her hand. By the way, Yuya-kun, what are you doing? Kitagawa asked me as I was stuffing these men into the large trash can that was in an alleyway. Trash isn't meant to be lying around the street, I said as I threw the last man into the trash and closed the lid. Hee, that is true. Anyway, Kaori, you are coming with us, Kitagawa said. But I don't want to bother you, the girl said. I am not taking no for an answer. You don't mind, right, Yuya-kun? Kitagawa said as she asked me. I don't, my house is nearby anyway, I said as I point down the road. You should do something about your monotone voice, it sounds like you don't want to be here at all, Kitagawa said as her eyebrows twitched. I mean, you are not wrong, I thought, and we went to my house. Chapter 8 I forgot. Why aren't you with your secretary? Kitagawa asked to Fuju. I told Dad to go out on my own now that I have grown up, Fuju answered as she walked with Kitagawa. I was just listening to them talking about the incident earlier and walking silently. You were lucky that we were nearby or something bad would have happened. Right, Yuya-kun? Kitagawa asked me. Yes, I said with my usual tone. At least give a proper answer, Kitagawa said as she looked at me. Beautiful girls like you two should be careful when you go out, I said with a blank face. Be beautiful. Fuju was blushing a bit as she repeated what I said. At least don't use that voice when you praise someone. Kitagawa was angry as she shouted. Kitagawa-san, you shouldn't shout in the middle of the street, I said to her. Whose fault do you think it is? And call me Marin, stop with the Kitagawa-san, she said as she looked at me. Okay, Marin-san. I called her by her first name. And please call me Kaori as well, Kaori said with a smile. Okay, Kaori-san, please call me Yuya as well, I told her as Marin is already calling me by my first name. Kaori nodded as we reached my home. I opened the door and walked in. I am home, I said, but there is actually no one in the house to hear it, but it is a habit, so. Do you live with your family? What are you to say to them about us? Marin asked with a smirk. I live alone, I said while walking towards the kitchen. You live alone in a house this big? Marin walked in with Kaori as she removed her shoes at the door and closed it. Yes, I said, and opened the door to the kitchen and placed the vegetable and meat on the dinner table. Although this house is too big for a person to live alone, and I don't mind it because being here makes me feel at ease. I don't know why though. Does your family live in a different city? Marin asked. No, they live in the city. Come with me, I said while walking towards my grandpa's room. Marin didn't ask any more questions and followed me with Kaori. I entered the room and turned on the lights illuminating the room that looked old, with a banner hanging on the left wall with a trophy case under it, and a showcase on the right side with a lot of photos of our family. The sewing machine is here, I said as I walked inside and opened one of the sliding doors, and a modern sewing machine was placed inside on the bottom right side. I picked it up and placed it on the floor. Oh, it is the same one I used in the school's handicraft club. Okay, so finish this dress please, Marin said as she took out the dress she made and gave it to me. This one isn't going to work as it is ruined, we will need new cloth. And I don't have your measurements as well, I said to Marin because this dress wasn't fixable. Ugh, I totes forgot about that. Okay, then we will do it tomorrow, Marin said. Marin, why are you asking Yuya-kun to make a dress for you? Kaori asked. Oh, it is for cosplay purposes. I totes want to dress like Shizuka-tan, Marin said with high energy. Who is Shizuka-tan? Kaori asked. What, you don't know St. Slimy Girls High School, Madam's shameless miracle life and disgraceful club 2's Kuro Shizuka, Marin said in one breath. I don't know who that is, Kaori said. What? Really, I want to dress like my favorite character. I love anime and games. The ultimate love you can show to your character is by cosplaying them. Marin was explaining to Kaori the wonders of anime and cosplay. So she an otaku, then she can help me with that, I thought as I forgot to check the manga and light novel stores. I definitely wasn't lazy to check them. She then looked around the room. Hey Yuya-kun, is this your family? Marin asked me as I was placing the sewing machine back. Yes, I said and walked near Marin and Kaori, who were standing in front of the showcase that had many photos. Oh, who is this? Marin asked as she pointed at the middle-aged couple. They are my grandparents from when they were younger, I answered. Then who is this? And this? She pointed at a photo. They are my parents and my younger twin siblings, I said. They are good looking, and your parents and grandparents are good looking as well. And looking at you, does it run in the family? Marin said as she looked at me with a grin. I guess it does, I said in my flat tone, causing Marin to pout, and Kaori was smiling a bit looking at Marin. Marin then looked at more photos of my parents and my siblings. Yuya-kun, why aren't you in the photos? Kaori asked as she was also looking at the photos of my family. Yeah, who is this fat kid? Marin asked as she pointed at the photo of my grandparents and me. That is me, I said in a flat tone, and Marin looked at me. Stop joking, Yuya-kun. There is no way, right? She laughed and looked at me. I just stared at her. So is that really you? Oh my god, how did you change so much? For reals, this is awesome. When did you take this photo? Marin said as she picked up a photo of me with my grandpa, who looked very old. It was 4 months ago, I said as looked at the last photo I took with my grandpa. Marin froze and place Kaori was stunned as well. What happened? I asked as I tilted my head. Don't what happened? Me, you lost so much weight in the last 4 months? Marin asked me. Yes, I said technically I lost it last night, but it is still within the last 4 months. Whoa, isn't that awesome? What type of exercise did you do to get into shape? I have to work so hard to keep myself in shape. This is totes unbelievable, right, Kaori? Marin looked at Kaori, who nodded. Yes, it is unbelievable, Kaori said as she nodded. Thank you. It is time for dinner. Aren't you guys going to go home? I asked as I walked towards the kitchen. I forgot to call my dad. Kaori suddenly remembered what she had to do. Geez, Kaori, you can be such a scatterbrain sometimes, Marin said as she followed me with Kaori. Come, I am not like that. Kaori defended herself as she called her father. Marin snickered as she narrowed her eyes. It is okay, you can call them and wait for them to arrive, I said as I entered the kitchen and picked up the vegetable and meat from the table. Kaori was talking with her father on phone. While I was cutting the vegetables and meat, I set the timer on the rice cooker to cook the rice while making spicy curry. Although the name includes spicy, it isn't that spicy. What are you making? Marin asked me. Growl asterisk. I saw Marin's face turn red as she held her stomach. Curry and rice. Do you want to eat as well? I asked Marin as I put the meat in the pot. Yes, I am really hungry, she said with a grin and a bit of blush. How about you, Kaori-san, would you like to eat as well? I asked Kaori, who just came after talking. I'll have some as well. I haven't eaten since morning. So thank you for the food and sorry for intruding, Kaori said as she bowed a little. Don't mind it, I said as I looked at the curry and started adding spices. Do you need my help? Marin asked. No, I can handle it, I answered. Despite what I look like, I cook for myself, you know, Marin said as she puffed her cheeks. Marin, I need your help with something, I said to her as I finished adding spices and condiments to the curry. I said I will help you with anything. But don't ask for anything perverted, Marin said with a grin on her face. I won't. You like anime and manga, right? I asked her. You are no fun, but yes, I love anime and manga, she said as she pouted at first but then smiled brightly. Can you tell what type of stories are popular nowadays? I asked her as I sat down at the table. It is the isekai genre that is new and is totes popping right now in the light novel industry. But manga is still dominated by shonen genre, she answered with a thoughtful face. Yes, the isekai genre is really fun to read, Kaori said as she smiled. Yuya-kun, I didn't think you would be interested in this with how serious you sound, Marin said with a smile. Well, I was curious. Kaori-san also likes to read light novels? I asked Kaori. Yes, whenever I have free time I read it, Kaori smiled as she answered. Seriously, and you don't know Shizuka-tan even if you read light novels? You totes aren't reading the good stuff, Marin said as she pointed at Kaori. What is the name of the story that you just said? Kaori asked. And while Marin was explaining to Kaori the wonders of Shizuka-tan, I picked up my old phone and searched for the title, she said. And Chapter 9, Food. Is it an 18-plus game? I asked Marin, who was talking to Kaori. Yes, that one you guys should try. It is totes a killer game. And the anime that was released some time ago was also a likey, Marin said, and it shocked Kaori. And Marin, I don't think we should be playing 18-plus games, Kaori said with a red face. Come on, I tell you the plot. The protagonist enrolls in an all-girls high school. But Marin ignored her and told her about the plot. I stood up and checked on the curry. It was done, so turned off the stove and checked on the rice, which was cooked as well. I plated the food and walked towards the table. That is why I got so into Shizuka-tan and wanted to cosplay as her. I saw Marin talking about the cosplaying with a bright smile and a gleeful expression. To think that I would hurt someone that looks like her in this world. But I guess it is fine. I want to live a normal life. I still remember her words that she told me once. I shook my head as I placed the food in front of Kaori and Marin. Here, talk after you eat, and don't be in a rush, Marin, it is still hot, I said as I looked at her. Hey, why do you have to single me out? She pouted. Just because you are holding a spoon full of piping hot food near your mouth, I said as I walked back and brought my plate and sat down. I saw Marin pouting. Itadakimasu, we said and ate the food. Marin was the first to eat as she shouted with bright eyes and an extremely happy expression. Yuya-kun, this is killer, really godlike. How are you so good at cooking? She said as she moved around happily and ate with a happy expression. Seriously, this really good, Yuya-kun. This is the best food I have had in my life, Kaori said with a smile. Thank you, I live alone so I cook for myself, I said plainly. I am the same. My mother passed away when I was young and my dad was posted in another city because of his job, so I live alone at the moment, Marin said as she ate quickly. I also eat alone because my parents are busy. I do eat with dad sometimes, Kaori said as she ate. Then she looked at Marin. You cook for yourself? Kaori asked. Yes, look at this. This is natto fried rice with refrigerated carriage and wiener. Marin showed a photo to us and both of us were stunned. Can this be even considered food? I thought as I looked at the photo of the dish with a menacing atmosphere. And Marin, is your health alright? Kaori asked with concern. I drink milk and eat yogurt every day so I am healthy, she said with a peace sign while smiling. Will she be alright? I was worried about her health as well. You can eat here from now on, I said as I don't want someone who resembles my friend to die because of eating something weird. Can I? Yay. Marin jumped around again and then started eating again. Wait, is your grandpa going to be okay with me eating here? Marin asked me. He passed away, I told her, which caused her energetic expression to freeze. Sorry for making you remember it, she said. It is fine, don't mind it, I said, and she nodded with a bright smile again. Then Yuya-kun, why are you living alone? Kaori asked. Well, it is complicated, I said with a straight face, and Kaori didn't ask further and nodded. Can I get seconds? Marin asked with a wide smile. Sure, what about you, Kaori-san? I asked as I saw Kaori has finished her food as well. Please, Kaori said with a shy look. Sure, no problem. I nodded and went inside the kitchen to get more food for them. I came back and placed the food on the table. We started eating again while talking. Yuya-kun, which school do you go to? Marin asked me. It is the Kawasaki High School. I said the name of the school I got admitted in after the entrance exam. Oh, it is near, right? Are you a second year? Marin asked. No, I am a freshman, I said. What, seriously, you are the same age as us? You look like a second year. This is for reals, unbelievable, Marin said as Kaori nodded. Well, Yuya-kun has a mature air around him, so I thought he was older than us, Kaori said. Ring asterisk, ring asterisk. I heard the doorbell ring. I'll go and check who it is, I said as I stood up and walked towards the front door. I opened the door and saw a foreign blonde bespectacled beauty wearing a butler uniform, and she was followed by 6 men in black suits. Bowed a little and asked, Is young miss here? Are you talking about Kaori-san? I asked her as she looked up and her eyebrow raised a little. Yes, I am, she said as she adjusted her rectangular glasses a little. Okay, come in, I said as I moved from the front door. You all wait here, she said to the men, who nodded and stood outside as she walked in. I walked in and reached the dining table where Marin and Kaori were still eating. Oh, you came, Francesca, Kaori said with a smile and stood up as she picked up her and Marin's plate, then placed them on the kitchen counter. Thank you, Yuya-san, for helping me and letting me eat such good food. I will go home now, Kaori said with a smile as she bowed her head. Okay, be careful from now on. My words caused her to be a bit stunned, and she smiled with a bit of a blush. I will be careful, thank you, she said and looked at Marin. I will go with her as well, so thank you for the treat, Yuya-kun. I am totes coming back to eat again. Then I'll see you tomorrow, Marin said as she walked with Kaori towards the front door. I walked with them to the door to see them off. Bye Yuya-kun, Marin said as she waved her hand high. Bye Yuya-san. Kaori waved at me a bit more reservedly as she went and sat in the car. I closed the door and went inside, sat at the table and ate my food. After eating, I washed the dishes. I sat down in my room and took out my new phone and laptop. Then made the necessary accounts for the laptop and inserted my SIM card and memory card in the phone, then moved the files and contacts that I needed. I need to wait for the internet till tomorrow, I said as I thought about what type of light novel to choose. Overlord has really good lore and world building, but it is too dark for the current market, which is just introduced to iSky. Although it can be stand out and be unique, I will need another novel besides this one, I thought as I laid down my futon in my room after everything was taken care of. Maybe Re:Zero will do well? It is dark as well, but it is enjoyable in its own right with beautiful female characters just like Overlord. I'll go with these two and do manga later when I feel like it, I said and sat down on the futon and used my laptop to type in the word program. I am using my phone's internet at the moment. After typing for 2 hours, I finished the first volume of Re:Zero and saved it. I need to buy illustration tools as well. So much work, I said as stood up and went to take a shower, then changed into my new loose black t-shirt and black sweatpants. My body is bulkier than a swimmer's body, and it is more in line with a warrior's body. It is good that I am not that bulky, but just right so that it doesn't look bad. I laid down on my futon and thought about my day. Is it really you, Ashber? Did you transmigrate as well? Then did she? It is no use thinking about something like that. I shook my thoughts as closed my eyes and went to sleep. Chapter 10 Scum. Yawn asterisk. I woke up in the morning, or more like afternoon. I have been getting too lazy nowadays. Med is fine anyway, I thought as I folded my futon. I should buy a bed, and a big and comfy one, I muttered as I have plans to redecorate the house after I make some good money. I walked towards the bathroom and took a shower after brushing my teeth. I walked into the kitchen to make some light breakfast. After I ate, I cleaned up the kitchen and... Ring asterisk. The doorbell rang, so I went to check who it was. I opened the door to see a young, average-looking man. Hello, I am here to install the internet connection, the man said. Come in, I said as I walked in, and the man followed me inside and installed the internet device. It took him half an hour. After he finished his work, he went away. I have already paid for internet services, so that was alright. I went into the living room, sat down on the sofa and turned on my laptop, then started writing the second volume. I finished 3 volumes by 4 p.m., making 4 volumes for Re:Zero. Now I just have to go to a publishing house. I am tired, maybe later, I muttered as I lay down on the floor of the living room. Ring asterisk, ring asterisk. Who is it this time? I dragged myself towards the door and opened it. Yoo-hoo, it's me. What's the matter, you totes look tired, Marin said as she walked inside. She was wearing a loose orange t-shirt with black shorts and black shoes. She also had a black bag on her right shoulder. Pardon my intrusion, she said while removing her shoes and entering the hallway. I shook my head and walked in after closing the door. She walked inside the living room and sat down on the sofa and said, Here, I brought these for you, Marin said as she handed me a book with the name How to Make Cosplay Clothes for Dummies, and 2 game CDs with the name of Saint Slimy. I placed the game CD on the table near my laptop and looked at the book. You can use them, as I knew it was your first time making cosplay clothes, so I brought the book that I used, she said as she winked at me. Thank you. Would you like tea or coffee? I asked her. Cola, please, she said as she sat down on the sofa. Okay, wait here for a bit, I said as I went to the kitchen and brought her a glass of fresh orange juice. I walked inside the room and gave her the glass. But I asked for a cola. This isn't cool for reals, Marin said as she pouted. You shouldn't drink too much of that sugary stuff, it is bad for your health, I told her. Yuya-kun is so sweet. She grinned with a little rosy cheeks and drank the orange juice in one gulp. Thank you, it was really tasty, Marin said as she licked her lips. I nodded and looked through the book she gave me. It described how to make cosplay very easily. Marin-san, I called her. Yes, she smiled as she answered. You had a book with such clear instructions but still failed so miserably, I said to her. Stab asterisk. Yuya-kun is totes merciless, Marin said as she fell on her knees. Well, it is true, I said as I sat down on the sofa and read more and reached a page that said, "For precise measurements take it barefoot and only in underwear." I read this and looked at Marin. "Marin, did you bring your measurements?" I asked her. "No, I thought you will take them," she said as she stood up from the floor. "Look here." I pointed at the line, but she smiled. "Is it just that?" she said as she took off her t-shirt with a seductive smile and sat down on the table as she took off her shorts as she looked me in my eyes. "Is she a natural seductress? Are you really the Ashbur I know? Wait, why did I assume she is?" I thought as I looked at her snow-white skin while she was wearing a black swimsuit. "I can be a genius sometimes, and I came here in a swimsuit," Marin said as she stood in front of me and struck a pose with a peace sign on top of her head, while winking as she grinned. The pose caused her breasts to jiggle around. She has a toned body with milky white skin and the contrast of a black swimsuit. If the person in front of her was a normal high school student, he would be a stuttering mess at the moment. And if it was a scum, "You shouldn't remove your clothes in front of people you barely know," I said with a straight face as I stood up, and she looked up to see up face because of my height. "I know you aren't that type of person," Marin said with a grin. "How do you know that?" I said as I leaned in close to her face, and I can see her turn red. "What if I push you down this instant? What will you be able to do?" I said near her ear as she shuddered a bit. She wasn't saying anything, so backed off. I saw her face was completely red and she looked at me with, "Whoa, Yuyukun, that was awesome for reals. That was even better than what I saw in an Arrow game." Her eyes were shining. "Did you just compare your current situation to an Arrow game scenario?" I asked her as I felt my head hurt. This girl is weird. "Yes, I played a game which had a scene like this, and the girl was blackmailed into having sex with multiple guys," she said with a smile. "Just don't do this type of thing or you might end up in the same situation," I said to her in a serious tone. Yes, I know I won't do this in front of just anyone. I felt like I could trust you, Yukun," Marin said with a smile. "And how did you know you could trust me?" I asked her. "Gut feeling," she answered with a bright smile. Hearing her answer caused me to remember something that I have perhaps forgotten. "How did you know you will find me here?" I asked. "Gut feeling," Ashbur said. This caused me to smile as I looked at her and said, "I'll get the measuring tape." I saw her stunned in place but didn't mind it, and went towards my grandpa's room to get the measurement tape and took one of the notebooks and pens that was placed in my room. I walked into the living, seeing Marin was still standing in the same place with a stunned face. Marin-san, I said as I waved my hand in front of her face. "Ah, Yukun," she said while blushing. "Stand still now and don't move around," I told her as showed her the tape. "Okay." She nodded as she turned back to normal and stood up straight. I took the measurements of her head and shoulders. "Okay, now turn around," I said to her, and she turned around. "I'll keep my hair in the front so that it doesn't disturb you," she said as she moved her hair. This revealed her white and smooth back and a shapely but which was barely covered by her swimsuit. This teenage body sure is troublesome, I thought as I felt my blood rush, but I calmed my body down in an instant without a change in my expression. "Okay," I said as I took measurements of her back. She suddenly moved a little and my fingers brushed her lower back. What happened, Marin?" I asked her. "And nothing," she said. "Okay, and don't move," I said as continued taking her measurement after I got her reply. After 5 minutes I finished with that. "Oh, now we have to do my foot as well," Marin said as she sat down on the table crossing her legs. "We have to make shoes as well, you know," she said with a smile and put her feet forward. I nodded and went on my knees and took measurements of her feet. It was done rather quickly. "Okay, I will keep this in mind when I go to a shoe shop next time," Marin said as she looked at the measurements. "Now next you thiasis bus size," she said with a bright smile. "Can't you do that yourself?" I asked her. "Oh ho, is Yukun acting shy now?" she said with a teasing smile. This girl, I thought with a blank face. Chapter 11 Seals. If I do it myself, I have to bend forward YC. And for some reason, it is different every time. So come on, Yukun. I'll hold my hair up so that it doesn't get in the way," Marin said as she held her hair up in a ponytail, causing her bikini top to tighten. "Sigh asterisk, all right," Yuya said while sighing heavily. He stood near her. She was looking at him as she raised her head. He is still as static as ever. His face doesn't change, I don't know why, but I don't like it when I see him like this. She thought as Yuya bent a little and his arms went around her with the tape and he measured her bust size. He is looking at my boobs. No, he is looking at the tape. His face isn't changing at all, at least smile. Oh, that smile. Marin thought as she looked at Yuya measuring her underboobs while his face was near her boobs. He looked really good when he was smiling, although it only a little. I felt my soul left my body. Marin thought as she turned a little red. Okay, this done. Yuya's voice brought Marin out of her thoughts as she looked at him standing in front of her. We still have the bust point left, Marin said with a smile. What? Where do I measure that? Yuya tilted his head. Is this girl serious right now? Yuya thought in his mind. Here, Marin said as she jumped and pointed at her boobs with a grin and somewhat rosy face causing her chest to jiggle around. Yuya looked at Marin's face with an expressionless face. Geez, still no reaction. Means he totes doesn't know about it. Marin thought. Cough asterisk, it is the distance between nipples. If you don't know about it, you won't be able to make a proper breast pocket, Marin said with a smile. Let's see his reaction now. Marin thought. Do I have to do it? Yuya asked. Yes, Marin said with a smile. Now show me your flustered face. Marin thought. Okay, don't move around then, Yuya said, stunning Marin. He moved his hands and measured the bust point size quickly with only the tape touching her. What? He actually did it? Marin was flustered in her mind as she heard a voice. 20 centimeters, why is your face so red? Yuya said as he looked at Marin. And nothing, it is just the heat. Marin squealed a little and said. Yes, the heat is really high these days. Yuya spoke while looking at the measurements. Geez, maybe. Marin sighed a little as she played with her hair. Then legs for last, it would be quick, Yuya said as he went on his knees and started taking her measurements again. I ended up getting flustered. Marin thought as she pouted. Her body shook a little, then her face heated up again when she felt Yuya's finger touch her inner thigh. Marin, don't move around, Yuya said in his monotone voice. Why yes, Marin said as she calmed herself. Okay, now, this is finished, Yuya said as he sat down on the sofa and Marin wore her clothes again. Then she sat down beside Yuya. Do you have more photos of the character? Yuya asked. They are in the game CD, so play them and you know. The game is awesome for reals, Marin said with a grin. Okay, do you feel hungry? Yuya asked and Marin nodded. I feel like I'll die from hunger, she said with a smile. Okay, I will cook now, Yuya said as he walked towards the kitchen. So what are you going to cook? Marin asked. Something simple, Yuya said as he walked ahead. Okay, but I want rice, Marin said with a smile as she sat down on the table. Yuya nodded and started cooking. He was making a normal miso soup with grilled fish and rice. It smells so nice, I'm totes feeling more hungry, Marin said as she laid her head down on the table. Eat this in the meantime, Yuya said as he placed some fruits on the table. Thank you, you are really a caring person, Yuya-kun, Marin said as she grinned. Yuya didn't say anything and continued to cook as Marin ate some fruits. After the food was cooked, he plated everything and placed it on the table. Here, Yuya said as he sat down on the table. Itadakimasu, Marin said as she ate quickly. Tasty, really Yuya-kun, you are the best, Marin said as she ate happily with a smile. So satisfied, Marin said as she sat on the sofa with a satisfied smile. Yuya sat down beside her and looked at her. We have to buy the materials for the clothes as well, Marin said. That will have to wait till I finish the design, Yuya said. Okay, then why don't you look at the game first, Marin said. Seeing his flustered reaction is going to be so fun, Marin thought as she gave him the CD. Okay, Yuya nodded as he inserted the game's CD in the laptop, then ran the game. The game started and he clicked on the new game. The story started with how Marin described it, and the main character then joined the disgraceful club after he entered the all-girls school. It will be fun. Marin grinned as she remembered the scene after this. I feel weird, something is coming. The first sex scene of the game ran and Marin looked at Yuya to see his reaction. No change, he is a tough one for reals. But this makes me want to tease him even more. Marin was shocked that Yuya's face didn't move even a millimeter. Then more scenes played out. It's my favorite Shizuka-tan, Marin said with a smile, but her face was a little red because of the voices and the scenes of the game. Oh, I don't want to go crazy. All. It is hard to keep a straight face when you are listening to this, right? Marin looked at Yuya and she was shocked. He is taking notes about the dress? Marin was dumbfounded when she saw his concentrated face. She forgot all about the game and the moaning of the voice actress. Her full attention was on Yuya. He looks even more handsome when he is concentrated, Marin thought. I'm going crazy. Amazing. I can't. And the game ended with Shizuka's wound being filled to the brim as she was making an ahigo face while being pressed against the wall. Yuya placed down the notes he had taken from the game and looked at Marin, who was looking at him in a daze. Marin, earth to Marin. Yuya waved his hand in front of Marin's face. What do you think about the game, Yuya-kun? Marin asked and stuttered a little. Seriously, what is wrong with me? Staring at him like that, Marin thought as she felt her face heat up. Are you feeling unwell? Your face is really red? Yuya asked. And no, it is fine. Tell me about your opinion on the game. Marin quickly waved her hand as she said. So now she is embarrassed. Well, Yuya thought as he picked up the notes he had taken. Here I made the design for the dress. Yuya showed her the paper and she looked at it with amazement. This is really detailed. Wow, the dress is going to turn out a killer, Marin said as she was filled with energy again. After that, Yuya discussed the finer details of the dress with Marin, who was smiling like a child while tearing up a bit. Why are you crying all of a sudden? Yuya said as he wiped down the tears with the tissue that was on the table. It is because I feel like I can become Shizuka-tan, so I feel really happy, Marin said with a smile. Is she seriously that into cosplaying? Yuya thought as he waited for her to calm down. She calmed down in an instant and said, Yuya-kun, give me your contact numbers so that I can talk to you about the dress, Marin said as she took out her phone, and Yuya nodded. After exchanging contact info, Marin stood up and said, Then Yuya-kun, I'll go home now. Be careful, Yuya said as he walked her to the door. Don't worry, my house isn't that far, Marin said with a grin. Yuya waved his hand to Marin, who was walking away while waving her hand high as she was looking back. Yuya walked back into the house and sat down in the living room, then turned on his laptop to write the novel, Overlord. After typing for an hour, Yuya locked his laptop and went to sleep in his room. Now let's see what this thing is, Yuya said as he sat down on his futon and took out 2 pieces of paper that had a seal in a style he didn't know. He found these in the secret room because it looked interesting, so he took them but hasn't done anything with them because he was busy the whole day. I'll appraise them first, Yuya muttered, and a blue screen appeared in his sight. A seal that even the gods don't know where it came from. What? It isn't working. I guess the skill has its flaws, or this seal has high-ranking concealment magic. I can use runes to decipher it anyway, Yuya thought as he moved to the house in the other world, came out of the cabin, and stood in the middle of the courtyard. He needed a big space just for precaution. Yuya used his mana on one of the seals to see if he can unlock the concealment magic, but the seal activated and shined brightly. Seriously now, Yuya muttered as he moved back, and a figure appeared from the light. When the light died down, Yuya was stunned to see the figure that emerged from the light. Chapter 12, 12 Made Again. When the seal activated, Yuya took out the absolute spear in his right hand as he used rune of UR, to enhance my strength, Sin, to enhance my vision, Hagel, to make a barrier to protect myself. I can only use these 3 at the moment. The light faded and Yuya saw a woman appear from the light. He was shocked to see the appearance of the women. How did Yuya's thoughts were interrupted by the women. Who are you? The figure that appeared in front of Yuya said. Yuya looked at the woman who asked him a question. I don't have any intention of answering someone who intruded my house, Yuya said as he looked at beautiful young woman appearing to be in her early 20s with back-length silver hair that features a long braid on each side with small blue bows at the ends, while the rest is let down, which ends in twin braids and red eyes. With a height of 5 feet 8 inches and looked like she was 17 years old, her outfit is a black shirt with golden caramel accents at the edges of the shirt and spread horizontally near the bottom, with 2 light golden trims going down the shirt, and the shirt splits slightly above her stomach, exposing her midriff. Around her neck and shoulders is a long, cyan scarf, made from light material that reaches her hips. Her jeans are blue, with a white outline at the top. That certainly is wrong. Then allow me to introduce myself. My name is Graphia Lucifuge. And the reason I am here is because of the deal I made with the mysterious voice. I am sorry for intruding in your house, master, the woman Graphia said as she bowed a little. He isn't a normal human. His strength is something I can't see. His weapon is also dangerous. And I feel a sense of dread just from looking at him. Graphia thought as she looked at the glowing eyes of the person that had a dangerous weapon in his hands. Mysterious voice? Deal? Master? What are you talking about? Start from the beginning, Yuya said as he lowered his spear, but the runes were still in place for any sudden attacks. What is Graphia Lucifuge from DXD doing her? And why is she calling me master? Yuya was thinking about how he can meet someone from a work of fiction. Graphia nodded and told what happened to her. She was being chased by devils after the civil war ended, and she met her friend Surzex, who told her that he will protect her if you act like his little sister and call him Oni-chan? Yuya asked as he tilted his head. Yes, and I ran away after that. I was injured by Surzex, and on my way to be taken to be judged, but I heard a voice in my head, saying if I would accept the summon and become the servant of the person who summoned me, it would send me away from that place, Graphia said without much change in her expression. I read that Surzex was a Siscon, but wasn't Graphia supposed to be his wife? Whatever, not my problem if he is a Siscon or Brocon, Yuya thought. I see, so you accepted that, Yuya said as he looked at her. Yes, I did. That was my only way out, as they won't let me kill myself, Graphia said. If it was a normal human, I would have erased his memory of meeting me and would have gone away. But after seeing his weapon and the barrier around this house paired with the aura he has, I don't think it will work, and it might not be bad to become his servant, Graphia thought. Okay, I got the gist of it, but I don't need a servant, Yuya said as he kept his spear in the item box. But the voice said you needed one, Graphia said. Now that I think about it, having a servant can be useful to clean the house, and she a devil, so I don't have to worry about her overworking herself. From what I read, she also has a maid fetish. Her personality isn't a problem from what I read, Yuya thought. So you are weighing the pros and cons about accepting me as your servant? Graphia asked. Yes, I am considering if I should take you as a maid or not, Yuya said in his flat tone, and Graphia's eyes became bright when she heard about maids. Then if I may add, I can do all the household chores perfectly, so master won't have to worry about it again, she said with a graceful bow. It sounds tempting. I can laser or conserve more energy like this. And if she tries something, I can kill her if I want to, Yuya thought as he looked at Graphia with blank eyes as his killing intent leaked a bit, which caused her to flinch and take a battle stance. What happened suddenly? I felt like I was ripped apart, Graphia thought as she looked at her body, which was completely fine, but she felt the cold sweat on her back. Oh, so she felt it. I am still not able to control this body because it is new. I will be able to in a week or so, Yuya thought as he looked at Graphia and said in a flat voice. Then I accept you as my maid. Work hard, I guess. Just what type of person is my new master? He certainly isn't someone normal. I have been in the presence of many powerful devils, but I have never felt like this before, Graphia thought as she looked at her new master with surprise in her red eyes. Why yes, master, Graphia said as she bowed her head. Here, follow me, Yuya said as he handed Graphia a handkerchief. Thank you, Graphia said as she followed her new master inside the cabin as she wiped her cold sweat. Yuya sat down on the chair in the cabin. So, how much did the voice tell you about this world? Yuya asked as he sat down. Master, the voice didn't tell me much other than it being a different world, Graphia answered. She is already acting like a proper maid, Yuya thought. Well, let me tell you about it then. The world you will be living in is the same as your old one, but without any supernatural beings, so I don't need to tell you how to behave outside, right? Yuya made a short explanation about the world she will be living in from now on. But master, there is magic in the air, and it is very dense as well. And I also felt magical beasts in the forest, Graphia said as she looked around. This world is a different one, that is all you need to know, Yuya said in his flat tone. Certainly, master, Graphia bowed as she answered. Then let's go, I'll show you to your room, Yuya said as he stood up and walked inside the cabin. What is that door? I feel this mysterious power from it. Just what is the identity of my master? That doesn't matter, I will serve him to the best of my ability, even if it is that, Graphia thought as her face turned a little rosy as she looked at her master's wide back. Why are you blushing? Yuya's brought her out of her daze as she looked at her master's face, which further reddened her face. "And nothing, master," Grafia said quickly. This caused Yuya's eyes to narrow, but he shook his head and walked through the door with Grafia following him. This door is really a mystery, Grafia thought as she followed her master, who was walking unconcernedly to anything. They emerged in the bathroom and Yuya closed the secret door. "Don't go inside without my permission," Yuya said in his flat tone. Grafia nodded and followed Yuya, who was walking down the corridor to the empty room. "Master," Grafia said while walking. What is it?" Yuya said without turning back. "Can I get an empty room near the master's room?" Grafia asked. "Why?" Yuya said. "So that I can be near to take care of your needs," Grafia said. "Then why don't you just sleep in my room?" Yuya said. Chapter 13, Master is such a... "Then why don't you just sleep in my room?" Yuya said. "And Master I is inviting me to his bed. I is TTEA know this is a maid's duty." Grafia was thinking with a red face. Yuya, who didn't receive an answer, looked back and saw the blushing silver-haired beauty with her head down. She looked like she was fighting a difficult battle in her mind. "It was a joke. I will give you a room next to mine as it happens to be empty." Yuya's words caused the blushing to look up with a stunned look. So she was thinking about that. Guess it is the devil blood that caused it, Yuya thought. "It sure didn't sound like a joke because of your voice, Master," Grafia thought as she looked at her master, who was walking silently. "And Master, why you shouldn't joke in that voice because it doesn't sound like it," Grafia said as she felt a bit embarrassed. "Oh, I'll keep it in mind," Yuya said in his flat tone. Master totally isn't, Grafia thought, as they arrived at the room that was on the right side of Yuya's room. "Here you can use this one, and here take this, you can take a bath if you want to, as you know where the bathroom is. I'll talk about the rest in the morning," Yuya said, handed her a change of clothes and turned towards his room. "Yes, Master, good night," Grafia said as she held the clothes. "Good night," Yuya said as he entered his room. "Ugh, so tired," Yuya thought as he went to sleep right away. Grafia went to take a quick shower as she removed her clothes and then removed her black lace bra and panties as she took a shower. Her figure can make any man lust after her, with bust/waist/hips of 38/24/36 inches, with skin as white as snow and breasts that defied physics. She was standing under the shower head with hot water running down from her silky silver hair to her beautiful face that was red because of the hot water, then sliding down her wondrous curves. Why did I act like that? I must have looked like a fool in front of Master, Grafia thought as she walked out of the shower with water drops sliding down her body as it glistened under the light. She used the towel that was in the bathroom to wipe her body. "Was this towel used by Master? There isn't anyone else living here." She smelled a different scent wafting from the towel and sniffed it. She smelled a musky scent that made her lightheaded, but she regained her senses and looked at the towel. "Is my master really a human and not an incubus?" Grafia thought as she gulped. She shook her head as her face was a bit red. She changed into the clothes that were given to her. It was an ordinary black t-shirt with gray pajamas. "Even though I have clothes, I will not waste the goodwill my master showed me," Grafia said as she took out a new set of white underwear with flowery designs and wore them. After that she wore the clothes and walked towards her room. Before entering her room she looked at Yuya's room but shook her head and went inside her room. The room was a simple Japanese room with nothing special, and a futon was laid in the middle of the room. Grafia turned off the lights and laid down on the futon as she remembered what had happened. Her family was no more, and she was even a criminal back where she came from. She has been trying to distract herself, but it didn't work. Although she didn't want to show it in front of her master, she was really torn and heartbroken about what happened to her family. Her father died while her little brother disappeared with rise of him Levon Lucifer. She wasn't able to stop him. After all, she was being chased after by a horde of devils that wanted to capture her because she made a name for herself in the Devil's Civil War. "Mother, please watch over me. And give me strength so that I can support my master like you supported father," Grafia thought as a little tear escaped her eyes and slid down her face, then fell asleep because of how tired she was. Grafia woke up in the morning and saw it was 5 a.m. She felt a bit tired but stood up nonetheless. She felt that her master was still sleeping and sighed in relief. "It is good that I didn't oversleep," Grafia thought as she washed her face and took out a blue and white French-made outfit with long sleeves and a white made headband from her storage necklace and wore it. Then she applied red lipstick on her small pink lips. She looked at herself in the mirror and nodded, looking at her perfect, maid-like appearance. She took the garbage bag and placed it outside the house door so that the garbage truck can take it away. She walked inside and started cleaning the house. After 30 minutes she arrived at a room that had a banner and a showcase with a lot of photos of people. She looked at the pictures and saw a happy family. Is this Master's family? She thought as she looked at the photos. The house is too big for one person to live in. Did something happen to Master's family? No, they must be out of town. But where is Master in the photos? Graphia tilted her head as she looked at the photos again, but she wasn't able to find anyone that would resemble her master in them. I thought I missed him, but I guess it is impossible to miss Master because of his appearance. She muttered as she remembered Yuya's face. Although his face was always emotionless, he was so handsome that even the gods and devils that were known for their looks paled in comparison. She shook her head and continued to clean the house. She finished the cleaning after an hour, then went outside and looked at the lawn. How much time has it been since the lawn was cleaned? Graphia said as she looked at the weeds and grass that were overgrown. Looks like Master is a lazy person, or he didn't have much time to clean. Graphia thought as she cleaned the lawn quickly, then cleaned the storage room that was in the corner. She walked inside the house and saw it was 8 a.m. and her master was still sleeping. She went into the kitchen and sat down at the dining table and felt tired again. She placed her head on the table and fell asleep without noticing. Did I fall asleep? Master must have woken up. She jolted up but found herself in a futon. Wasn't I in the kitchen? How am I here? Graphia muttered as she noticed a note on her side. If you are tired, rest properly, and don't overwork yourself. I am going out to take care of something. I'll be back by 1 p.m. so rest for the day. P.S. I have made you some breakfast so eat it, and rest. It's in order. Master is such a... She muttered as she stood up with a red face and walked towards the kitchen and saw a container on the table with a bowl. She opened it. It had hot soup in it, and a note next to it. It is a chicken soup that is good for your health. She sat down and drank the soup with a spoon. When the soup landed on her tongue, she felt like she was a child once again, and remembered the time when she was sick and her mother took care of her. She felt that familiar warmth in her heart, and felt like her mother was hugging her at the moment and saying, "It will be all right. Haven't you found someone to devote yourself?" "Delicious," she said as tears slid down her face, but she didn't stop and continued to eat until she finished all of it. "Thank you, Master," she muttered with a smile as she wiped her tears and looked at the clock. It was currently 12:30 p.m., meaning her master will come back in 30 minutes. She needed to prepare some things, and she will rest after that as per his orders. Yuya woke up groggily as he looked at the clock, and it was 9 a.m. He wanted to sleep more, but he dragged his body out of the futon and walked to the bathroom. He felt that Graphia was in the kitchen, and the house was clean. The wooden floor was shining. Did she wake up early and clean the house? Yuya thought as he washed his face and looked at the mirror. He saw his blank face without any expression and dead-looking blue eyes. But then he saw the shadow of a young man with the same face but a soft smile and clear blue eyes that were looking back at him. Sigh*. Yuya sighed as he turned around and walked towards the kitchen, only to see Graphia sleeping with a frown on her face. Chapter 14. Identity. Graphia was frowning in her sleep. Her face was looking pale as well. I know that face very well. Is she having a nightmare? I muttered as I went close to her and touched her forehead. She was burning up, her temperature was high. She isn't feeling well. If you aren't in good health, why are you working? She is already wearing her maid outfit. Does she like it that much? I said in a flat tone, then shook my head. I read in the novel that she lost her family and was chased down as well. If it wasn't for her falling in love with Surzex in the novel, her fate would definitely be cruel. But she didn't have that in her life this time. She must have had a hard time trying to focus on surviving, because when someone loses their family, no matter how level-headed they are, it doesn't help, not one bit. She also had a little brother that joined Rise of him. I am not wrong. The head of the magician faction, Nilem Euclid Lucifuge. I don't know if she has knowledge of it or not. But still, losing your family is always a big hit, no matter who it is. Do I see myself in her? I thought and shook my head. Knot is NYD. This rune should help her with her nightmares and solve the knot in her heart, and help her see and hear what she wants. I placed the rune on her head. It looks like a cross with a horizontal line slanting downwards. I saw her face ease up as the frown vanished. She won't be able to rest here properly, excuse me, I said as I picked Graphia in a princess carry as I placed my hand on her hip and supported her back with the other one. Her face leaned into my chest. I walked towards her room. It felt like I was holding a feather. Her body is really soft, and light my hand that was on her hip felt like it was sinking inside her flesh. I felt like I was taking advantage of her while groping her in her sleep. Sorry, I didn't mean to do this. I apologized to her in my heart and looked at her, but felt her hands hugging my neck. I saw she was taking in deep breaths near my chest with a soft smile on her face. Is she sniffing me in her sleep? I thought. I guess we are even, I muttered as I reached her room and laid her down on her futon. It was a bit hard to get her hands off my neck without waking her up. After I tucked her in the futon, I checked her forehead to see if her temperature eased up or not. And it didn't, it was still the same. She isn't feeling well, that is for sure. I thought it was because of the nightmare at first. Daggers, dag, I made another rune on her head that will help her mind and help her with sickness. Sleep and rest well, I said in my flat tone as I stood up and walked towards the kitchen. I cooked myself some chicken soup because I felt like eating it, and it will also help Graphia with her health. She is my maid, so I have to take care of her when she is sick. That is how it works, right? An employer taking care of his employees when they are facing difficulties, I thought as I went and took a shower, then changed my clothes back to the one I found in the cabin. I walked out, and it was 10 a.m. I looked at Graphia, who still hasn't woken up. I left a note for her near her pillow, and one near the container to take some rest. I wanted to make some documents for Graphia first, so I used my laptop to hack into the government's database and make a fake identity and documents for Graphia with her name. It is pretty easy to do considering the technology level of this time period. The computer systems of this period were considered antiques that were displayed in museums. After 30 minutes I had made all the documents necessary for her age. I set it at 17 years. Because she does look like she is 17 years old even with her well-developed figure, and the fact that she is in reality 60 years old. Well, I made proper forged documents so that it doesn't cause any problems for her, or more importantly me, when someone tries to dig into her information. I don't know who will do it, but better safe than sorry. It was a chore because I had to make a whole false history for her from her childhood till now. I used the name of my grandpa's friend to be her adoptive grandfather. The old man had already passed and didn't have any relatives, and he lived in a remote area. If I remember correctly, he gave his house that was in Hakone to Grandpa, and Grandpa gave it to me in his will. It has been 4 months and there isn't anyone there to look after it. Should I check it out? Maybe later, I thought as I stood up, because I had to go to the government office to collect her ID, and I also updated my ID photo to the current one. As for how I got Graphia's photo, I took it yesterday without her noticing. Okay, now that this is out of the way, I have to focus on the thing I woke up early for, I said as I left the house after I wore my shoes. I walked down the road to the bus stop while being the center of attention. I shook my head and walked towards my destination. After reaching the bus stop, I waited for the bus. I looked at my phone to read some news about what was going on in Japan. Kodo Ikusiai Koto Gakko and Usiai Academy will end their entrance exams for the year tomorrow. All you need to know about the top 2 schools of Japan. The long rivalry between the top 2 schools continues. 2 schools with different ideologies but the same goal, to nurture the future leaders of Japan. All the data about graduates of the schools. I felt someone looking at me. I turned and saw it was a tall young man with brown hair, brown eyes, and a fair complexion, wearing a plain school uniform with a good-looking face that caused some of the girls standing at the bus stop to glance at him. He was standing there looking at me with an emotionless face and somewhat droopy eyes. When he saw me looking at him, he bowed a little. Sorry, I was staring at you. I was a bit curious about you, the young man said in a monotonous tone. I know that look very well. You were curious, huh? I thought. It is fine, don't mind it, I said in a monotonous tone with a lazy look, and the young man nodded, then looked away a bit awkwardly. He has a well-defined body, especially his lower arms. Is he a person who does sports? I doubt that. A person who has eyes like that, it is impossible that he has lived a normal life. Whatever, I looked back at the screen. So these 2 are the top schools of Japan, and they have some sort of rivalry going on. I thought as I saw the bus arrive. I boarded the bus and paid for the fare. I saw the young man hasn't boarded the bus. It has nothing to do with me, I thought as I sat down on an empty seat near the window and waited for the bus to reach the destination. After about 20 minutes the bus reached Chiba Station. I walked out and started walking towards my location, which was the government office, or more specifically the identity registration office. I went to the desk where a female receptionist was sitting with bored look. But that vanished when she saw me. "Hello, how can I help you?" she asked me with a bright smile. "I am here to collect an ID for my relative and my ID as well," I said in a monotone voice. Can I know your name, sir? And the name of the other person? She asked with a smile. Tenjiya and Graphia Lucifuge, I said normally. Okay, Tenjiya, she said as she started looking through the envelopes she had, but she wasn't able to find them. Chapter 15, Plans? Sir, please give me a minute? She asked, and I nodded. She used her phone to call someone, probably someone in the back office. Check it again, it should be there. I have checked the database and it should be made. What do you mean that you missed it? Error my ass, get it done quickly. We are sorry for the inconvenience. But sir, can you wait for 30 minutes? It is currently being made because there was an error in the system causing it to be overlooked, she said as she bowed a little. No problem, it isn't your fault, I said with a flat voice. Of course, you will overlook it, it wasn't there, to begin with, I thought as I went to the waiting area to sit down. I looked at my phone to see the online novel writing platforms that I could choose from. Synopsis, huh? I'll use this one to write it in the form of a web novel. After it gets famous, I will surely get offers from publishing companies, I thought as I waited for the ID and made an account on Synopsis. Because unless a novel is doing good on the internet, the publishing companies won't approach them unless you are a big writer who has many big works under your belt and a reputation in the industry. The publishing companies aren't going to accept your novels. This especially applies to new authors. The publishing companies need to make money. Just because they like a novel doesn't mean that the market is going to like it as well. So I need to make it into a web novel. Then after the novel gets famous online, then I can expect good offers from different companies after I have the numbers. The more competition there is, the more benefits I can get from the contract, as I am a newbie author with no prior work or reputation. So I need the upper hand in the negotiations, and seeing the stories that are on Synopsis, I already have an upper hand because the readers will surely love the novels. After all, it has already happened in my past life. And I know what the market wants, and I have the correct lineup for them. So the publishing companies are surely going to jump at this opportunity. Though it will take the time, it is not like my livelihood depends on it, so I am in no hurry. I was in my thoughts as I looked at the current scene of ACG. It was okay. But just okay, nothing too out of ordinary. After 20 minutes passed. Tenju-san, we have gotten your ID. Sorry for the delay. The female receptionist spoke as she came towards me with 2 envelopes in her hand. Thank you, and don't mind it, I said as I took the envelopes. Really, thank you for your understanding, the receptionist said as she smiled. And I walked out of the office and turned towards the bank to open an account where I can keep some of my money so that I can buy a bed quickly. And it is seriously inconvenient to carry money on you. I removed my and Graphia's ID from the envelope and kept it inside my wallet, throwing the envelope into the trash bin. I walked some more and found the Xerox shop so that I could get the additional documents needed for opening an account. I already made a copy of my documents and kept them in my phone. After getting all the necessary papers, I walked towards the bank. Mitsubishi UFJ Financial Group, which is headquartered in Chiyoda, is the top bank in Japan, and the important thing is it doesn't need a guardian to open a bank account in this one, from what I have read on the webpage I was looking at. I was walking towards the branch in Chiba. After I walked through the busy streets that were filled with people, I reached my destination. I walked inside, ignoring the stares I was getting from everyone. I entered through the automatic doors that opened and walked into the building, becoming the center of attention almost instantly. I looked at the line for opening an account and stood at the back waiting for my turn. I looked at Synopsis, looking at the reader's reaction to different isekai novels. The responses were too good for the level of novel that was on the site. Well, it might be because these are the best works at the moment. I thought as my turn came, I took the form and filled all the details and submitted the necessary documents along with the form. The person at the desk said that the checkbook and card will be delivered to my address in 3 working days, so I nodded and walked out of the bank, walking towards the direction of the bus stop. The shop will deliver the things I ordered, so I need to reach home a little before 1 p.m. It was currently 12. So I didn't need to worry about being late. I stood at the bus stop, ignoring the gazes of people. The bus arrived after 5 minutes, and I boarded it, then paid for the fare and sat down on the seat that was empty and looked outside the window. I reached home around 12:50 p.m. after I shopped for groceries. I'm back, I said as I entered the house and saw Graphia standing inside waiting for me. Welcome home, master, she said with a smile. Are you feeling all right now? I asked her. Yes, master, I am fine, she said with a smile. I placed the groceries on the floor and removed my shoes, then went near her. Because of my height, she had to look up to match my eyes. Let me see, you lied last night as well, I said while moving her bangs that covered her forehead with my hand. I placed my palm on her forehead and her temperature was still a bit high. See, you aren't feeling well. You shouldn't force yourself like this, I said as I looked at her red face. Oh, I see. I moved a bit back because I was standing a bit too close to her. And Master, don't mind it. I am fine. Her voice died down near the end. Okay then, I'll keep it in mind, I said as I picked up the bags and walked inside the kitchen and placed them on the table. Graphia followed me. Master, I'll arrange them inside the fridge, Graphia said as she picked up the bags and placed them near the fridge. Thank you, I said as Graphia bowed and went to place the groceries in the fridge. I nodded and went towards the living room and sat down on the sofa as I used my laptop to log in into the Synopsis and started to write the web novel version of Re-Zero. The difference between them is that the web novel version won't have side stories and illustrations. In the meantime, please eat something, Graphia said as she brought me some sandwiches to eat in the meantime. I nodded at her, and she went back to continue her work as I continued writing the chapters. I ate the egg sandwich that was in front of me and it was really good. Graphia came into the room with a tea set and made me some tea. Then she gave me a cup and stood beside me. I finished the 6 sandwiches that were in front of me and drank the tea that Graphia gave me. She took the empty plate and took them to the kitchen and then came back to her former position. I finished 2 chapters in 30 minutes and placed my laptop on the table. You can rest for the day, Graphia, but before that sit down, I need to talk about something to you, I said while looking at her. She nodded and sat down in front of me. Here are your documents and identity in this world, so memorize it, I told her as I gave her a folder that had her documents and placed her ID on the table. Very well, Master, she said and took the folder and ID, then looked through it, memorizing it. After 15 minutes she placed the folder down and looked at me. Did you understand it? I asked her. Yes, Master, I am supposed to be the adopted granddaughter of your grandfather's friend, but after his death, I have lived here under the guardianship of your grandfather. And I know Master from childhood, so I am close to you and am currently living with you, she said while nodding. Okay, good that you understand, I said. Ring asterisk, ring asterisk. I heard the doorbell ring and Graphia walked towards the door. She came in with a man who was blushing while looking at Graphia. Who is he? I asked her. He is here for the delivery, Master, she said in her proper maid-like manner. When she said that, the man's eyes widened as his face became redder. I ignored his reaction. Okay, go on and bring in the delivery and install it, I said in a flat tone to the man who was looking at me with envy and jealousy in his eyes as he handed me the receipt. What is wrong with you? I thought as I looked at the man as I signed the receipt and gave it to him. The man looked at me but looked away almost instantly as I looked at him and walked out. Chapter 16, Desire. I stood up from my seat and followed the guy out of the house and looked at 3 more men who were helping with moving the package. Graphia followed silently without saying anything. Master, should I kill the insolent fool? She said as she looked at the man who walked out, glaring at me with hatred. Let it be if you kill every single fool like that. You won't be able to see the end of it. The world can have a shortage of everything, but there won't ever be a shortage of idiots, I said in my flat tone. As you say, Master. Graphia bowed slightly and didn't say anything more. The men moved the package into the house and installed everything in the place I told them, with Graphia speaking sometimes about where she would like to place a certain appliance. I didn't mind it because she will be using it the most, so it is good to take her opinion about this. After an hour the installations were finished and the men went back on the vehicle they came on. I walked back to the shower and entered the gate to another world, appearing in the wooden cabin with Graphia following me. You should rest for the day, Graphia, or your health will worsen, I said to her in my flat tone. If you say so, Master, and thank you for carrying me to my room, Graphia said as she blushed a little. Don't mind it, I had to do that much as you are my maid, I said to her in my normal tone, and her blush became more prominent after she heard me call her my maid. Why yes, I am Master's maid, then if you'll excuse me. She gracefully bowed and went back to the house in the original world as her face reflected how happy she was. It is really hard to not notice such things. At times like this I feel jealous of those clueless harem protagonists, I thought as I turned around. I walked outside the cabin after I changed into the armor I got from that ogre. And I noticed a small field on the left side of the house that I haven't checked yet. I walked there to find vegetables growing there. There were a lot of herbs there likely to be mistaken for weeds, as well as tomato-like and radish-like vegetables. Since the herbs were grown in a neat line, I could tell they weren't weeds. So this was for watering it, huh? A silver watering can was placed to the right, near the field. It already had water inside of it. I appraised it at once. Infinite watering can, watering can which contains an infinite spring of water. The water inside is holy water, and even a dead or dying plant will quickly become healthy with this water. The water is always perfectly pure and drinkable, and upon imbibing, will not only recover fatigue throughout the body but also increase magical power. Contractor, Tenji Yuya. Neat, I guess this can be useful to make potions as well. So, what's this crop? I have never seen this type of herb. I went ahead and started appraising herbs. Complete recovery herb, consuming this herb can cure all kinds of wounds and diseases, even if you are missing limbs or blind. In addition, the herb can also function to restore magical power. When picked, it leaves seeds behind to regrow quickly. This herb exceeds any legendary class herb. It is quite good, I guess, I said in my usual voice as I looked at the herb. Are these normal vegetables? I doubt it. I thought as I appraised the vegetables. Superpower tomato, a tomato that can increase attack power when eaten. In addition, it will also increase physical strength and energy, and reduce fatigue. When picked, it leaves seeds behind to regrow quickly. Invincible pumpkin, a pumpkin that can increase defenses when eaten. In addition, it also has the effect of improving mental stability, and makes one more resistant to mental attacks and debuffs. When picked, it leaves seeds behind to regrow quickly. Winter radish of wisdom, a winter radish that can increase intelligence when eaten. In addition, it makes you better able to cope with special mind enhancements such as parallel thinking and high-speed thinking. When picked, it leaves seeds behind to regrow quickly. Godspeed potato, a potato that can increase agility when eaten. In addition, it also enhances visual acuity and perception. When picked, it leaves seeds behind to regrow quickly. So I have an infinite supply of these here and I feel like they will surely increase my stats, so does that mean I can get stronger just by eating? It sounds nice, I muttered in my usual voice. But I doubt it will increase my stats infinitely, there has to be a limit. I'll find it out later, I muttered as I turned around and saw a slime-like monster that was black coming out of the forest as it moved on the ground. You have acquired the skill, presence detection. So I can skills. Must be the effect of my titles, Otherworlder, and person who visited a different world for the first time, that I can get skills easily. I had to go through many battles before I was able to sense someone's presence. I thought as I walked towards the slime that stopped outside the forest and noticed me. I appraised it. Hell slime. Level 200. Magic 5000. Attack 1000. Defense 5000. Agility 100. Intelligence 100. Luck 100. A 100 level difference, huh? I guess I check out how this body fares against someone stronger than it. I muttered as I summoned the absolute spear in my hands and walked outside the barrier. The slime used a water spear to attack me, but I dodged it easily. If it is a slime, then the core should be its weak point, I thought as I gripped my spear. Whoosh asterisk. With a gust of wind, I was already behind the slime, which had a hole in its body. I destroyed the core, which was in the middle of its body. The slime fell on the ground and turned into items. I flicked the spear lightly to get off the purple blood of my spear tip. Level up. I turned around, then looked at the drops after I heard the notification in my head and appraised the drops. Hell Slime Core, the heart of the Hell Slime. It's filled with a huge amount of magical power and can be used in the process of creating armor. Hell Slime Jelly, a coffee-flavored jelly. Consuming it can increase magical power and defense. Magic Stone, rank C, a special ore that can be obtained from magical beasts. Coffee jelly from a slime? That's an odd drop, but it looks like it can increase my stats, so I won't complain, as sweets are something that I like. I muttered as I picked up these items and placed them in my item box. There was one more thing, I thought as I looked at the ground. It was a silver necklace, holding a fashionable crescent moon embedded with something like a black jewel. It's an accessory, I spoke as I appraised it. Black moon necklace, rare drop from Hell Slimes. It can increase various stats if worn at night. It also collects sunlight and converts it into magic power, and constantly restores the wearer's magic power. Contractor, Tenji Yuya. So it is like having an extra magic bank with you that recharges on its own. I guess it's alright. I doubt I'll need it because not the type to use magic other than runes which don't cost much magic because of my mastery over them. What should I do with this? I thought as I looked that it contracted with me, so can I give it to another person? If so, Graphia is a mage, so it might be useful for her. Come to think of it, I didn't even check her status. I spoke as I went back into the barrier and sat down on the chair that was in front of the cabin with a wooden table. I called up my status and looked at it. Tenji Yuya. Race, human. Occupation, none. Level, 150. Magic, 2000. Attack, 3500. Defense, 3500. Agility, 3500. Intelligence, 2000. Luck, 4500. BP, 5000. Skills, Appraisal, Endurance, Item Box, Spearmanship, Max, Primordial Rune, Max, Magic Resistance, Max, Cooking, Max, Household Chores, Max, Sewing, Max, Drawing, Max, Presence Detection, 1. Titles, God Slayer, Spearman of the Abyss, Master of the Door, Master of the House, Otherworlder, Person who visited a different world for the first time. The skill levels start at 1 with 10 being the max. I looked that my level has jumped by 50 this time and I have got more BP to use, so I allocated my BP to the stats. Tenji Yuya. Race, human. Occupation, none. Level, 150. Magic, 3000. Attack, 4000. Defense, 4000. Agility, 4500. Intelligence, 3000. Luck, 5500. BP, 0. Skills, Appraisal, Endurance, Item Box, Spearmanship, Max, Primordial Rune, Max, Magic Resistance, Max, Cooking, Max, Household Chores, Max, Sewing, Max, Drawing, Max, Presence Detection, 1. Titles, God Slayer, Spearman of the Abyss, Master of the Door, Master of the House, Otherworlder, Person who visited a different world for the first time. So I am a human once again. Is that the reason I can feel these faint emotions again? Even though I don't want them. It is still there. I thought as I looked at the sky. There are 2 tragedies in life. One is to lose your heart's desire. The other is to gain it. And I have no urge to gain it again. I thought as I shoved away the thoughts in my mind. And focused on what I had to do. After I saw that I had done that, I felt like taking a survey around this place to know where I am and if there is any settlement near here. Although, I don't want to go around running, it is necessary to know where I am in this world. I stood up again and walked out of the barrier with the spear in my hand. Chapter 17, A Memory. Yuya walked inside the thick forest that was covered with vines and fallen leaves on the ground. Is this place not visited by anyone? I can't find traces of humans other than some animal trails, Yuya thought as he walked in a circle around his house, and only found the dense forest surrounding his house. Is this house in the middle of the forest? Or an inhabitable area perhaps? Yuya thought as. Skill, Map, has been acquired. Map? Like a mini-map. Yuya thought as he appraised the skill. Map. It will show you the map for places you've visited once. Let's see how it works. Yuya muttered as he thought about using the skill. It formed a map in front of his eyes, but only his house and the area around it was shown, the rest was blank. So I have to visit a place for it to register it? Yuya thought. Okay, it is a good skill to have. Yuya muttered as he looked in a certain direction as he felt a presence there. He walked towards that place without making any sound and reached where he wanted to and saw a creature. It was a childlike creature with green skin, dressed in shabby armor, with sharp eyes, an aquiline nose, and some sharp fangs lined up in its mouth. While not being noticed by the creature, Yuya activated his appraisal. Goblin Elite. Level 120. Magic 100. Attack 1500. Defense 1000. Agility 1500. Intelligence 100. Luck 100. It is near my house, so I should kill it. Is this the normal level for monsters in this world? Well, not that I care. Yuya thought as he walked, took a stance and vanished from his place, then reached in front of the monster. Blink. It was one of the techniques to instantly close the distance. Yuya swung his spear in a horizontal arc, cutting off the head of the monster before it could even react. And the monster fell on the ground, turning into drops. Level up. Skills, Weakness Detection and Assimilation acquired. I got some new skills, Yuya said as he appraised them. Weakness detection, find out your opponent's weaknesses. Assimilation, it allows you to become one with nature to erase your presence and magic signature. Kinda useful, but I can do that naturally anyway, Yuya said as he looked at the drop again. The drops are Magic Stone, Rank D, High-Grade Demon's Fang, and High-Grade Demon's Skin, huh? Yuya muttered as he placed it in his item box. I'll continue looking around in a random direction because I have already come this far anyway, Yuya said in his usual voice as he walked in a random direction and continued his exploration. He walked some more and encountered some more goblin elites that he killed easily, and walked further as he felt a monster there. After 2 minutes he reached the place and saw a monster with dark brown skin and golden eyes like those of reptiles, bulging muscles, with a height as tall as an adult man, and wore armor on its body, gushing nasal breath from its big aquiline nose, and a giant sword that was as tall as itself. Yuya looked at the monster and appraised it. Goblin General. Level 200. Magic 1000. Attack 9000. Defense 3000. Agility 500. Intelligence 500. Luck 100. It isn't that special, Yuya thought as he appeared in front of the monster and slashed vertically straight for the headbutt. The monster reacted and was able to bring his free arm up as he moved his head back. Splash asterisk. The attack lopped off the hand of the monster, as it barely missed the monster's neck and blood sprayed out of his arm. The goblin attacked with his sword as he slashed diagonally at Yuya, who was in his post-motion after the attack, so the goblin thought of killing Yuya when he wasn't able to attack. This monster is smarter than the ones before. But it won't work, Yuya thought, as he turned in a circle and swung his spear in a wide arc, attacking the goblin with the tail end of the spear in his sides. The goblin tried to block the attack with his sword and the weapons collided, and sparks flew in all directions. Bang asterisk smash asterisk. But the sword wasn't able to hold out as it shattered into pieces, and the spear hit the right side of the goblin, and the goblin was launched in the air as he flew and crashed through the trees and fell on the ground. Then Yuya appeared above him and pierced his head with the spear, killing the monster. Level up. Yuya saw the message and picked up the drop from this monster as he turned around and started walking towards the right because he felt the presence of humans there. Yuya looked over and saw a human flinging a clump of dirt at the girl that was leaning on the tree. Looking at this scene, a memory played out in his mind, the one he least wanted to see. Kaya, why would you dirty the dress my brother got for me? A girl that looked 9 with blonde hair was lying on the ground as the white dress that she was wearing was dirted. A group of boys and girls were laughing as they looked at her. Dumb bitch, do you think you deserve to wear something like that, a cripple like you? A girl said as she smirked widely, looking down on the girl who wasn't able to stand up. Why do you care? The girl said as she looked up at the girl. You are an eyesore, nothing but a burden to him. You can't do a single thing, no wonder your parents abandoned you. And your brother will abandon you as well, the girl who was standing said. My brother is still with me, he won't do anything like that, the girl on the ground said as tears welled up in her amber eyes. Stop dreaming, we are in an orphanage and he isn't even your brother. Why would he bother to take care of a cripple like you who can't even hear properly? The girl said with a smug look. No, you are wrong, my brother won't. The girl was about to say more, but she was hit with a stone on her leg. What, you can't feel anything, right? Ha ha ha. A boy laughed as he saw the girl who was on the ground. Hey, you guys, have you seen Lily here? A rather energetic voice sounded out, and caused everyone to flinch and look behind to see a smiling young boy that looked 13 or 14 in age with glossy black hair and clear sky blue eyes walking towards them. The voice caused the girl on the floor looked up as tears streamed down her face. Brother. The girl named Lily spoke as she spoke in a choked voice while crying. The boy was stunned when he saw what was going on. The energetic look on his face was wiped out. Lily, what happened? Are you alright? The boy rushed straight to the girl on the floor. Lily was shaking like a leaf as she didn't say anything as she looked down. Did you guys do this? The boy looked behind with anger in his eyes. It caused one of the boys to jump on the spot. And no, Ashley, this isn't done by us. Right, guys? The boy said as he looked at the rest. Some of them nodded as they smiled. Yes, we found her like that. Yes, we didn't do anything. We were worried about her, so we were asking her. Lily, tell him, we are friends, right? Yet tell him we won't do something like that. The kids lied as they looked at Ashley. Ashley looked at the Lily, who was shaking while looking down. Lily, tell me what happened here? Ashley asked. If I tell him the truth, it wouldn't be good. I can endure it for him. I don't want to burden him, not anymore, Lily thought as she looked up while wiping her tears. They didn't do any dash. Lily was about to say more but Ashley stopped her. Don't lie, just tell me what happened. If you stay quiet today it will only worsen in the future. Don't worry about anything, just nod your head, Ashley said. Lily's eyes widened as she looked at her brother, looked at his hands that were bleeding. This caused her tears to flow again as she nodded. Hey Ashley, she is lying, we didn't do anything, the girl shouted. Why are you so scared? Did you forget about his problem? This guy become a statue during a fight. A boy laughed as he said, Oh yes, I remember now, that right. It is because of his trauma, right? Ha ha. The kids laughed again. Yes, we did it. What are you going to do, kill us like you killed that guy? A kid said as he pointed at Ashley. Ashley's body shook a little as he remembered that scene of blood everywhere on the floor. He looked down and saw his hands were covered in blood as 3 bodies were lifeless on the ground. Chapter 18, Bonus Chapter, Failure. See, he froze, he can't do anything. He won't be able to do anything if he can't move, a boy said as he lunged towards Ashley. No brother, why did I nod, why? Lily was screaming in her mind, but she wasn't able to move her body but still tried to move with her hands. Ashley looked back at Lily, who was trying to move towards him. He moved to punch the boy who was coming towards him. I'll fucking kill you, Ashley said as he beat the shit out of everyone present. He didn't even see who it was. He forgot all about the scene that had traumatized him since he was little when he saw her trying to crawl on the ground. After 25 minutes everyone was lying on the ground wailing and crying. Ashley looked back and saw Lily was still crying. Ashley went towards her and patted her head. I am sorry for bringing you trouble, Lily said as she hugged Ashley. It is okay, you are my sister, right? I am sorry for not being there with you when something like this happened, Ashley said as he looked at the broken wheelchair and Lily's state. He felt his heart was ripped apart when he saw her cry and picked her up. Okay, let's go, we need to get you cleaned up. And then we will be moving out of the orphanage, Ashley said with a smile. What? You are leaving? Lily said with sad eyes. I said we right, you will be coming with me, Ashley said. Hey, are you not going to leave me behind here? I wasn't able to protect the gift you gave me, Lily asked in a small voice. Of course not, why would I leave my family behind? I'll get you more, so many that you won't be able to wear everything. And why are you asking something like this? Ashley spoke. Everyone always says that you will leave me behind because I am a burden and can't do anything, Lily said. Oh come on, don't listen to them, you are my only hope, I won't leave you behind, Ashley said as he tried to soothe the little girl. Then promise me, Lily said as she looked at him while wiping her tears. Okay, I promise I won't leave you behind no matter what, Ashley said with a smile. And Lily smiled brightly as she forgot about what had happened, and didn't notice Ashley staring in the air where a screen was floating in front of him. Do you accept the offer to become a climber? Yes. No. I won't let her go through something like this ever again. Ashley made up his mind. Yes. And on that day that decision changed the boy's life. Sigh asterisk. Yuya sighed heavily as he remembered that day. And the face of his sister flashed in his mind, but he couldn't feel anything. Sadness, hate, anger, grief, loss. He couldn't feel anything. The little fire of emotions in his heart was waning and becoming smaller. The only thing that was left was indifference. He felt like he was dead, a corpse with a beating heart that lived just for the sake of it. Indifference is a paralysis of the soul, a premature death. I guess these words were true after all. Yuya thought as he closed his eyes. I am really a failure, Yuya thought as he opened his eyes and moved towards the group. Ha! Ha! A girl was running desperately through the forest. However, the pale white dress that the girl is wearing, which can be seen as fine quality by anyone, isn't suitable for running. Not only that, but the beautiful blonde hair that looks to be extracted from the sunlight has become dirty while running, and now has lost its radiance. Several people who hid their faces behind a hood were chasing behind such a girl. Coo! The girl was running barefoot in the forest with a bad footing. However, she stumbled over a tree's root because of the dress that is unsuitable for running in the forest environment. The mysterious group couldn't miss that chance and immediately surrounded the girl. The girl realizes that there is no longer to escape, but she sharpened her jade eyes and glares at the group. You people! Do you know with whom you're chasing? I am the first princess of Alcyria Kingdom, The mysterious group exchanged glances at the girl's bullish attitude while sneering. "Ha ha! We know that, Lexia von Elsyria. Then why? Why, you said? Saying such a ridiculous thing. As for what reason you're getting attacked? Should I make you remember with your body? That's..." The girl Lexia became lost for words at what the assailant said. "You're a hindrance, you know. You filthy mixed blood. My blood is not dirty. Don't talk back. Kia!" One of the mysterious people magically created a mass of soil and shot it at her, who was resolutely appealing. Lexia instantly rolled over the ground, but his magic power was high, and the impact caused more damage than expected. "You, quit stalling for time. It'll be better if you just obediently die from the beginning. Your escort is pitiful too, right? As a result of escorting you, they're getting attacked by us. They were desperate to let you escape, but aren't those knights dead by now?" The mysterious group threw unpleasant words at Lexia, who was crouching in pain. Lexia was the first princess, but she was a child born between the present king and a concubine, a slave. More to say, her mother was not a human. She was a high elf, which has an even better appearance among the excellent appearance of an elf. The king fell in love at the first sight with such a high elf slave and loved her as a concubine, and before long, Lexia was born. However, soon after giving birth to Lexia, her mother died. The king was very sad and raised Lexia with care. But one day, an incident occurred. High elf who originally possessed high magic and Lexia even as a half-human inherited their excellent appearance and magic, and one day her magical power went out of control. As a result, the first prince who was nearby was seriously injured. Fortunately, there were no after-effects left, and he had been healed completely, but Lexia was alienated by the queen, the mother of the first prince, and the nobles who were part of the first prince faction. Due to her origin of birth, she has been subjected to various types of harassment behind the king's back. She's grateful to her mother for giving birth to her, and she doesn't have a grudge against her father. However, the surroundings attack such Lexia mercilessly. Even if she's from the royal family, it will become a misfortune depending on the circumstances. Lexia had been desperately living before such an unavoidable reality. But now she is about to be killed like this. She looks back on her life and tears fall involuntarily. If she had lived a more normal life. Yes, she had thought about it. Now, it will be silly to have an idle talk and be attacked by monsters. Go die quickly. Lexia could only sob, muffling her voice in this very miserable and helpless situation. One of the men of the mysterious group tried to shoot his magic mercilessly toward Lexia. It was at that moment. "You know it isn't nice for a group of grown men to surround a young girl like that." A flat, monotonous voice sounded behind the group of magicians who flinched and turned around and released their spells at the source without even thinking. "Attacking people at the site, I see." The voice sounded behind them once more. "Why you? How did you?" A robed man said while stuttering as he pointed at the man in red armor and a blank face that wasn't phased even when he was attacked. "And Monster H, how can a human be that fast?" Another one said. "Don't get in our way, you bastard. Let's kill him as well. We don't want any witnesses." But the man ignored them and looked at the girl that was leaning on the tree trunk. She was looking at the person with wide eyes. "Looking at your condition and their words, I don't think they are someone who has good intention for you. Do you know them?" The man asked Lexia, who absent-mindedly shook her head. "I see then," the man said in his monotonous voice as he moved. Chapter 19. Humans of this world are. "I see then," the man said as he swung his spear and smashed the stone spear that was heading to his head. The man looked at them with emotionless eyes as he moved and pierced the neck of the one who was nearest to him with his spear, then rushed forward, smashing the man who was hanging on his spear on the one behind him, killing him as the spear tip pierced his chest, and sidestepped to dodge the fire arrow that aimed at his chest as he swung his spear in a wide arc, causing the blade of the spear to rip apart the bodies that the spear was in, causing blood to fly around. As he guided the blade to cut one of the man's body into two, then he dodged another, the spikes of earth that formed near his feet, by jumping and swung his spear in a vertical arc, smashing the head of the man who used the magic spell towards him with the tail of the spear. Splat *, boom *. A cloud of dust was kicked up, and after it cleared there was a small crater on the ground, and the man that was attacked by the spear had become a puddle of flesh and blood in it. "Isn't it similar?" the young man thought as he looked around at the scene. There were bodies on the ground, with blood everywhere, a scene that used to make the young man tremble before, but his eyes only had indifference towards the scene now. Because it has become a common sight for him, as he had seen more corpses of people than he could count. He has been through battlefields where rivers of blood flowed with corpses piled up forming mountains. So something isn't worth mulling over. After all of the men were dead, the man flicked his spear to remove the blood that was on his spear, but he didn't have a drop of blood on his body. Then he looked at the girl, who was still looking at him with wide eyes. How can someone be this good looking? That was the question that was going in Lexia's mind. She looked at the man who was walking near her. An elegant gait paired with his aura that can only be of someone of noble descent, or a king, with his glossy black hair and light blue eyes paired with his handsome face, made her think that he is for sure a member of some foreign royal family, or a high-ranking noble. "Are you all right? You don't look injured," the man asked while looking at Lexia with his blue eyes as he crouched in front of her, as their eyes were on the same level. Lexia looked into the blank blue eyes of the man. She felt scared at first, but then she was lost in the beauty those eyes held. It was like they can see through everything, her past, her future, everything was laid bare in front of those eyes. But she didn't feel repulsed by it, rather she was attracted to those eyes and wanted to stare into those eyes for eternity. Gulp asterisk. He is even more handsome up close. I asked this what love feels like. I am in love. Lexia was jumping around in her mind as she looked at the man while blushing. Mac POV. I was looking at the girl who had back-length blonde hair with short bangs covered the right side of her forehead, and 2 long locks of hair framing the side of her face falling onto her chest, with her green eyes that turned bluish on the outer edges of her pupils, a small but beautiful face. With a white dress that was decorated with golden accessories, she would be a world-class beauty that could charm anyone if not for the dirt and leaves that dirted her. I saw the ambient natural mana that was gathering around her, forming a green haze. Is she an elf? A high elf perhaps? No, she is half human? Born to a high elf, so there are elves in this world. I thought as I examined the girl who has had dirt on her face. I took out my handkerchief on impulse and cleaned her face as I used water magic to wet the handkerchief. And wiped her face. She closed her eyes welcoming it, and didn't mind a stranger touching her face. Why did I do this? I guess I'll finish it. I thought in my head without a change on my face as I finished cleaning her face. She opened her gem-like eyes and looked at me with a blush. Seriously, I thought as I sighed in my mind. Why are you alone in the forest? I asked her in my monotonous voice. Oh, I was chased by those robed magicians while I was out looking around. I was with my guards, but we were attacked, the girl said as her voice became sad near the end as she looked down. I felt a group of humans coming this way quickly. I looked in their direction and saw a group of men come out of the tall bush as they looked at the girl and me. Princess, you are here, and who are you? What are you doing to our princess? A middle-aged man who was wearing full body armor and wielding a sword came towards me. He had short brown hair that was slicked back with a goatee. Oh, and stop. This gentleman here saved me. You are insulting him right now. The girl broke out of her thoughts as she looked at the man who was running this way. WH-. The man stopped when he heard the girl's voice. Then he looked at me. Sorry for my rude behavior. I was worried about Princess's safety, Owen said as he bowed her head. It's okay, I said, because even if he did attack me, it's not like he can do anything. Owen-sama, look, these are the magicians who attacked me, one of the knights said as he called for Owen. What, so there were more and they went after Lexia-sama? Owen said as he walked towards the scene where the bodies of the robed men were fallen on the ground with blood. Owen looked at the bodies that were dismembered. Lexia-sama, don't look here, Owen said as he walked towards her, trying to cover Lexia's view, but could only smile wryly when he saw her. She is too busy staring at me, I thought as I looked at Owen. Were they like this when you came here? Owen asked me. No, I killed them, I said with a blank face, and he nodded and went back to check on the bodies. The humans of this world are weak. Maybe that guy who built that house was just special. Not that it concerns me. But I will need more information on this world, I thought as I looked back at the girl who was looking at me with bright eyes. She stood up and dusted her clothes a little, then did a graceful bow. Although it is late, my name is Lexia von Alcyria, and I am the first princess of the kingdom of Alcyria. Thank you for saving me, Lexia said in her proper manners. I just happened to be near, don't mind it, I said in a flat tone as I was assessing the combat ability of the people. They won't be able to fight the monsters in the forest, so it is that they are too weak. But they are guarding the first princess, so they should be of some caliber. Then this forest is the abnormal one. I concluded my thoughts and looked at Lexia, who was looking at me. Then I'll go back, it is getting late, I said as I turned around towards my cabin. What, you live here? In the Great Devil's Nest? The middle-aged knight, Owen said with fear in his words. I looked back to see him looking at me in shock, and Lexia's eyes were shining brightly. Great Devil's Nest? What is that? I asked him in my flat voice. It is one of the most dangerous places in this world that no one dares to enter, he answered, and then his eyes widened in shock. Okay, I nodded with a blank face. Don't okay me, you are living in the most dangerous place in the world. Don't behave like this is your backyard or something, Owen said as his sweat dropped. It is though, I thought, but didn't say it because it will be pointless. Owen-sama, we need to go back. The sun will set in some hours, and to stay in the Great Devil's Nest at night, one of the knights that followed Owen said. Yes, we need to go, Lexia-sama, it isn't safe here, Owen said. And you only noticed that now, I thought as I looked at him with a blank face. Chapter 20, Elven Magic. I was looking at them as they were making plans to leave the place. But Lexia broke out of her daze and looked at others. Hey, why are we leaving? She asked as she walked towards Owen. What do you mean, why, Lexia-sama? We are in the Great Devil's Nest. No one in their right mind would stay here, Owen said as he tried to explain to Lexia. Did you just call me a mad person indirectly? I thought as I stared at him. Owen noticed my gaze as he flinched and looked at me. I didn't mean it that way. I just wanted to say that normal people won't want to live here, he said as he waved his hands. What? Did you just call my savior abnormal? Owen, you better apologize, Lexia said as she puffed up her cheeks. Stop, you are making it worse, I sighed as I looked at their comedy routine. I saw the knights that came with Owen were looking at them like they are at it again. Judging from their reaction, this is a normal occurrence. Well, I need more information about the human world out there. And I know they will die in the forest because of the monsters here. Although, I don't care if they die, I thought as I looked at Lexia and shook my head. I'll escort you till you reach a safe place, I said, causing them to look at me. Are you sure? Owen wanted to ask more, but he was pushed away by Lexia, who jumped and stood in front of me. Will you really help us? Lexia asked with stars in her eyes. I nodded at the oddly energetic Lexia, who was jumping around. Lexia-sama, you are a princess, you shouldn't act like that, Owen said as he sighed heavily because he was ignored by Lexia, who was walking beside me. Where are we going? I asked him. To the exit of the forest, he said as I nodded, and we continued walking. After 5 minutes passed, I asked him, Is this the right way? This question caused Owen to stumble. Why, you don't know the way? But you said you will help us reach a safe place, he asked me. I said I will escort you till you reach a safe place. I never said that I know the correct way, I said in my flat tone. Seriously, didn't you live here? Owen asked. I never left the forest, so I don't know the way out, I said to him in my monotonous voice. Owen was totally speechless as his eyebrows twitched, and he took out a map that was titled Great Devil's Nest and the area around it. I sneaked a peek at it and remembered it. I knew they should have had a map to help them navigate. What should I call you? Lexia, who was about to say something, asked as she realized she didn't know my name yet. Yuya Tenju, I said as I said my given name first and the last name, as they were using their given names first as well. Oh, Yuya-sama, did you never really leave the forest? Lexia asked. Yes, I never really felt like it, I said in my flat tone. Then where did you come from? Are you from a foreign country? Lexia asked with a smile. Yes, something like that, I answered in my usual tone as we walked down the trail with Lexia asking me questions. Lexia, you are a half-high elf, right? I asked her, causing her and Owen to flinch. But Yuya-sama called me Lexia. It sounded so good. I want him to call me that again. I'm falling all over again, she was mumbling under her breath while blushing as she squirmed. What is happening here? I thought as I heard her mumbling. Cough asterisk. Lexia-sama. Owen coughed awkwardly, causing Lexia to break out of her daze. Why, yes, Yuya-sama, how did you know? She asked as she looked at me with a smile, but there was a tinge of sadness in her eyes. She must have been through a lot of discrimination, as half-breeds aren't really treated well even among elves. And this seems to be a medieval world where things like this are usually scorned upon, I thought as I figured out some things about this world while talking to them. There is a lot of natural mana gathering around you. That is a sign of a high elf, as they are blessed by mana and have way higher magic power and affinity to magic than humans. I said in my flat tone. What is the use of it? I can't even control it, Lexia said dejectedly. Lexia-sama. Owen was trying to soothe her, so I think something must have happened because of her high mana. Did you try to use normal magic with it? I asked Lexia, who looked at me. Yes, it would go out of control whenever I tried to cast spells, Lexia said a little dejectedly. Then it is normal for it to fail, I said, stunning her. See, can you say more about it, Yuya-sama? We don't know about this. And it has troubled us a lot. Owen asked me, and Lexia nodded. I was about to say something but stopped as I looked at the group of elite goblins that appeared in front of us, with a goblin general leading the group of 5 goblin elite. What a goblin general appeared. Lexia-sama, please hide quickly, Owen shouted as he ordered his men to take the front. They won't be able to face it. I'll help them this time, I guess, I thought. I looked at Lexia, who was staring at me. Do you want to see elven magic? I asked her. What? There is a magic like that I didn't know about, she asked me with shock on her face. I nodded and looked at the group of monsters that were standing there looking at us. Go asterisk. The monster roared as it was ready to attack. Then I'll show you a little, I said as I snapped my finger. Dance of the wind, I said in the elven script as the wind picked up and a big tornado started to rise on the spot the monsters were and launched them in the air as the tornado became bigger, with wind blades dancing in it, cutting apart the monster and the surrounding forest. Kaya! Lexia screamed as she held my hand, trying not to be blown away by the fierce wind that was blowing as the soldiers held onto the nearby trees. After 5 minutes the wind subsided as chunks of meat fell from the sky. What happened here? Owen asked in a dumbfounded voice. I used a spell, I said to him in my flat tone. Although I can't control enough mana at the moment, this was a small-scale spell. I have to find a way to complete the magic circuits of this body, I thought in my mind, because this body didn't have any magic circuit, and I have been using the magic in the air with runes and word magic as a medium. So the magic is weaker than what it should be. I feel like I'll die early at this rate, Owen said as he hung his head. Yuya-sama, how did you do that? That is different from what I was taught, Lexia said with a bright smile. A spell that powerful can only be used by a few people, Owen retorted as he shook off the leaves that were on his head. What level of spell was that, Yuya-sama? Lexia asked with stars in her eyes as she looked at me. That was a low-level spell, I said as I looked at her. A low level, you call that low level? Owen shouted. Owen, don't shout, Lexia said as she pointed at him. Owen had a look of someone who has been betrayed as his eyebrows twitched. Yes, it was a low-level spell in elven magic, I said with my monotonous voice. Wow, that was awesome. Lexia had bright eyes as she looked at me with a smitten look. I looked at her and shook my head as we walked down the trail as I picked up all the drops, which were only magic stones. That isn't the main focus of elven magic, I said as I walked towards the trees that were uprooted by the hurricane and placed my palm on the ground, then used the spell. Lesser Blessing of Zephyr. I used a low amount of mana and the trees started sprouting from the ground, and the once empty lot was filled with huge trees that had ripe fruits. Elven magic is mainly focused on tree magic, with other elements being side branches, I said in my flat tone. I looked behind and saw Lexia's eyes were burning with passion as the soldier turned into stone statues, not moving a bit. What happened? Why are you so stunned? I asked him. I give up, Owen said as he muttered.
Akira here, this is the end of part 1. If you enjoyed the story, we would appreciate it if you liked the video. Also, please support the original author for this amazing work. I have put their Patreon and the web novel link in the description. Thank you and have a great day.